Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse. I am Peter, and joining me as always, well, actually no, that's a lie this time. David's here.
I'm super happy to be here for episode 500. Pete, glad you brought me on as a special guest.
Sorry, 499, you're one off.
What? All right, well, if you need me, I'll come back next week. I'm done. Bye.
David was premature, as always. Welcome to the show. It's a DC Comics podcast. We get together and we talk about the books we read this week. It really is that simple. And coming up on this week's show, we have Superman Unlimited, issue 11, Wonder Woman 31, Absolute Flash 13, Nightwing 136, Batwoman issue 1, Lobo issue 1, Deathstroke the Terminator issue 1, and New Titans issue 33, which is effectively an issue 1 because it's the start of a new arc, or a new run, I should say.
I'm pretty sure everything we read was starts of new stuff. There was nothing that was an old carryover.
You know what? You're right. Yeah, they were all new arcs. Pretty much. I mean, I think a couple of them, I'd say Superman Unlimited and Absolute Flash are the ones that felt the least, like, kind of like, you know, like jumping on. Like, they were kind of like, yeah, they were new arcs, but they're very much still built upon everything that was there before.
Right.
But no, interesting all the same. But yeah, that's what's coming up on today's show. And I was going to do some Patreon books, and then I didn't have time. So I'll be doing like 3 Patreon books next week. I hope Matt's ready for that on episode 500, because I was
going to say, that's fine. Episode 500 is already going to be 3 hours long.
Yeah, I got to do some catching up on those. But yeah, busy week. And we also got solicits. So that's the other thing. We got June solicits to talk about today. So we're going to get into that as well. So yeah. But I mean, I usually start by saying, Matt, how was your week? So I suppose I will do the same courtesy here. David, how was your week?
Man, I've had to spend most of my week recording with just this absolute dick, like just the worst person to hang out with. I absolutely hated every moment of it, and did that for 2 other shows that I do. But like, man, that guy, just awful.
I don't know, I think it sounds quite nice, frankly.
Yeah.
Based on what you've said, sounds like an absolute treat.
I said he's a dick. That is literally the only thing that I've said. So weird how you got that out of that.
And you don't like your dick?
You know, I guess I never considered it like that, Pete. Fair enough.
Checking mate.
Yep.
Yes, well,
yeah,
yes.
No.
Busy week.
It's been a pretty light week, yeah. I honest to God, not a whole lot's really happened for me. I was, for anyone who doesn't know me personally, I do get everything in physical, and this has been on my radar that I'd have to be on this episode for probably about 2 weeks now, so I was really, really hoping that nothing would go wrong, and that I'd be able to get all my books physically this week, and luckily enough I did, so didn't have any issues there, and ended up reading most of them last night. 1 or 2 of them had to wait for this morning, but yeah, everything's been hunky-dory in the land of comics for me.
Lovely. I'm glad. Don't want anything bad happening in comics for you this week. No, I mean, I think it was a busy enough week for me, but that was mainly a mix of extra recordings with Tim on top of the ones I was doing with you, and then just been a busy week in terms of video game news and stuff like that, which has been keeping everyone talking, but nothing too exciting. This is the part of the show where usually I look at Matt's letterboxd and chastise him for some of his dodgy ratings. I haven't actually checked. I mean, maybe I'll chastise him anyway, even if he's not here, because you know, that's funny.
Just to give him a chance to defend himself. Absolutely.
He knows exactly what I'd be saying. It's fine, right? Oh, he's actually not logged anything in a little bit. Maybe he's been too busy. The last thing he saw was The Bride, and that was 2 days ago, and he gave it a pretty reasonable rating, honestly, all things considered.
Fair enough.
I know he hasn't, so I can't make fun of him. Oh well, I was hoping that would be the fun intro to the show, is I'd just make fun of Matt in his absence, but he's been quiet. I guess he was busy because he's planning for whatever he's doing this weekend with the missus.
Whatever reason I had to be called in for, I'm sure it's eating up all his time.
Well, I did ask Connor first, but Connor had a wedding to go to this weekend, apparently.
Yeah, it is. It's not quite wedding season, but the weather, at least in my area, is getting nice enough that I'm sure people are doubling down for it.
It's starting to get the last like 3 or 4 days. It's actually been kind of sunny, and I wouldn't say hot in the afternoon, but certainly not cold anymore. So it's shifting for sure. We're kind of in spring now. It feels like,
right.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, recording wise, it's the 21st. I think that's the official start of spring. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know. Different places track it differently. I mean, I think I grew up just learning March, April, May, or spring, and that's it's simple. Don't think about it. Because some places I don't think count spring until like the middle of May or something stupid like that.
Oh, that's weird.
And I'm like, nah, you're almost at summer by that point. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, this is the show. We'll get into things because we got a lot to talk about this week. Lots of number ones and like I said, solicits. So we'll start off with the Kindle rankings, also known as the Comixology Top 10. I will make David guess what he thinks number one is as of right now on the Kindle store for this week.
See, I'm looking at my polls and more specifically new comics just to get an idea. And unfortunately, a lot of DC's output is the absolute like reprints, which is not going to show up in the digitals because they put out reprints of like all of Absolute Flash, all of Absolute Martian Manhunter, all that stuff. So, I guess I'd still say it's probably going to be an Absolute book. I don't know if Flash is that high of a seller, but I'll guess Absolute Flash.
It is Absolute Flash, believe it or not.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
A little bit surprising, but it is Absolute Flash. Number 2 is Ultimates. Number 3 is Wonder Woman 31. Number 4 is Batman Superman World's Finest. 5 is New Titans, which I'm actually surprised by that one. 6 is Nightwing, which is actually really nice to see because it hadn't been doing that well most months when we looked at these charts. I guess maybe because it's a new arc and they're putting that big banner saying this arc starts here. Maybe that has actually helped some sales this month with some of these books.
I was going to say, I us being so involved in the entire industry and all that stuff, I don't know how much marketing they're putting into Next Level, but if it's anything decent, a lot of people might have been showing up just to grab this stuff.
Yeah, number 7 is X-Men, number 8 is Superman Unlimited, 9 is Batwoman, and 10 is G.I. Joe. So that is your 10.
I'm actually a little bit concerned that Batwoman's the only, because there are 3 new number ones this week, and that's the only one that cracked the top 10?
Well, just outside the top 10, Deathstroke's number 11, and then Lobo came in at 14. So,
all right, at least top 20.
Yeah, they're not too far back. And then it's a lot of Marvel books after that, and then you have to go down to like 21 to get to End of Life, and then 23 is Catwoman. So
okay, did you already say Superman Unlimited? Was that
that was number 8? Yeah,
8. Okay, got it.
So pretty DC heavy top 10 this week, which I guess it was a busy publishing week for them. It's to be expected. I feel like Marvel and DC just kind of trade blows which one dominates the top 10 in any given week, just based on their schedules more than anything else.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to show up on the Kindle, but I think next week or 2 weeks from now, there's a new Daredevil number 1, and that one's coming with like blind bag stuff. So that's going to top like actual sales physically because everyone's buying blind bags.
Really? It's a hot thing?
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, look, I'm on the back end of that. Anybody who buys blind bags, you're an idiot. But also, you are paying for my bonus this year.
So there you go. I mean, Batwoman being the most successful of the 3 number ones, I think makes sense to me, just given the names attached to it. But not much more to add other than that. So without further ado, we will get on to the solicits for June, which I have not looked at all. So I will be discovering these things as we go, which I kind of like doing that, actually. It's more fun that way. So this is for June 2026, kicking off with a one-shot. It's the Summer of Supergirl Special, issue 1, which it's nice they're doing this, actually, because they did this for Superman last year. And while I did expect them to push Supergirl a bit because there's a movie coming out, I actually really appreciate that they're just at least pretending they're giving her the exact same treatment as, hey, no, we're Summer of Supergirl, we're doing that. So, now admittedly, she's only got one ongoing book. I doubt she's going to get a second one, but hey,
True. I did look through the solicits a bit more before you started, and when we get down to Lobo, there's also going to be a little bit, because since he's also showing up in the movie.
He's in the movie, yep, okay. Anyway, this is a one shot. It's got stories by the current Supergirl writer Sophie Campbell, but also a story by Gail Simone and a story by Mark Waid. So impressive list of names there for that, and this is sort of whetting your appetite for the movie, which is around this time. So cool. No complaints, makes sense. And then they also put Supergirl 14 immediately after this. Like, this is the only time Supergirl's ongoing is going to be pushed to the top of the solicits. Yes. This is never happening, unless Supergirl 2 gets made, right? Because the movie's a huge hit. But
that, or if like Supergirl all of a sudden is like the new hotness, if she takes the place of Harley Quinn and everyone's like, "Yep, we got to have our Supergirl."
I wouldn't be mad if that happened, to be honest.
Nah, not at all.
Would not be mad. It's not necessarily the start of a new arc. I'm presumably it's still just continuing what just started in this current. That said, though, she has a weird outfit in the cover of this issue.
Yeah. Yep. If the McFarlane toys were still doing their thing, I would expect to see this within like 2 months. No doubt. This
feels like I remember when I was a kid and they'd put out toys for like, you know, a movie, right? And I was at the age where I was getting toys for a bunch of different movies each year for, you know, a good portion of the 90s. And you'd get like, okay, here's like the main toy of the character for the movie. The character's got like maybe a second look in the movie, so they'd have that toy as well. But they'd have like a third and fourth toy, which were not in the movie. It was just, here's some alternate outfits that we've made for the toys. That's what this cover looks like. It looks like the weird white and blue version of Supergirl.
Whenever I think of that, of like the thing that's not in the movie, for some reason my mind always goes to Arctic Suit Batman.
Yes.
Like there has never been an Arctic Suit Batman in any major capacity, and yet that's always the one where it's like, check out the toy of Arctic Suit Batman.
Yep, I feel like there was tons of that for Batman earlier. Commando Batman, which is very un-Batman, but like, it doesn't stop them. They'll do it in the toys, because why wouldn't they?
Of course.
Supergirl, and then we got Action Comics 1099. Yep. That's going on. We got more stuff with Wade's Superboy and the characters from the present day that was just interested in the last issue. So
I think this is going to be after the reign of Superboys. Like I think this is slightly after that.
To be honest though, I don't even think the storyline they're doing feels that tied to. I mean, it says Reign of Superboys on the cover, but that last issue did not feel like it.
No, true.
Because the whole thing's been just set in the past anyway, so nothing. There's no reason why it should be affected all that much. But anyway.
I don't know. You got Booster Gold on the cover, so anything can happen.
True. I mean, maybe they'll do some present day stuff. Superman 39 is next. Some more Superboy Prime shenanigans with that. And then we got Superman.
Very fourth wall breaking on that one.
Oh, yeah, he's breaking out of panels on the cover. We got Superman Unlimited issue 14. And I understand that cover better now, having read today's issue.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that later. But interesting. Then we have Supergirl Survive issue 1. Okay.
Yes.
What is this? Is this a one shot?
It's Summer of Supergirl, Pete. It's a miniseries for sure. I just don't know how long it is.
Okay, all right, because it's slightly oversized. It's a $5 40-page book, so it's got a few extra pages. So yeah, this is Ethan S. Parker writing with Griffin Sheridan also writing and art by Rod Reese. So Kara Zor-El lives this life of small problems. How are you supposed to hold a floppy little baby like her new cut? For some reason I thought it was going to say floppy disk there. I'm like, what are we doing? Floppy little baby. It's still a weird word for a baby. Like her cousin Cal. Who should she ask to spring formal? Okay, I had to like process what I was reading there. Spring formal. We're talking about high school apparently. Jor-El, stop squabbling, but the planet Krypton has a big problem. Like the militaristic dictator Zod ruthlessly crushing dissent and threatening to unleash the planet's most dangerous weapons on the opposition. And when will things boil over and Krypton begins to burn, Kara and her infinite cousin will find themselves trapped together in a prototype rocket, struggling to survive in a hostile universe that doesn't care if they'll ever die, which might prefer the latter. Blah, blah. Alright, so okay, it took me like a couple of lines there to realize, this is set on Krypton before it gets destroyed, right? That helps a lot, because I was really confused up until I got that realization. Secondly, is this kind of an Elseworld, because they're going to be sharing a rocket, I guess?
So there was a news article that came out that was, they're doing the next wave of Elseworlds books. The one that we already had was the Superman Father of Tomorrow. That was obviously the first one. This is the second one, Supergirl Survive. And then it's not in this Solicits, but it'll show up next month. They're doing Dark Knights of Steel 2 as well.
Okay, all right. Well, we've been expecting that for ages. The Taylor, medieval fantasy version of DC. All right, cool. Well, I mean, it's nice that they're doing another Supergirl book, even if it is like an Elseworldsy type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of, because it's the most obvious Elseworlds, which is, what if Kara was in the rocket with Clark? Like, what happens if she didn't leave separately? And I think it's an interesting thing here to explore that. I don't know how deep the book is going to go into it of getting to Earth. It seems a lot more of trying to escape Krypton more than anything else.
Yeah, which I kind of hope it does get to Earth, because to me the most obvious part of that Elseworld is, well, she was sent. It's just, she was supposed to be looking after her baby cousin. She was supposed to be the guardian, and then that never happened because she arrived much later. So what happens if they actually arrive on Earth and she is there to look after him? Like, let's say they can't still find him, but they have this sort of more, teenage like person who's already like sort of taking commands and sort of insisting that she knows what's best, and like there's a lot of potential different upbringing stuff you could do with that if they go that far. Yeah.
I would think, and maybe this is just me being a little cynical, based off one of the last lines of this, which says, in a prototype rocket struggling to survive in a hostile universe, it might feel a bit more like Woman of Tomorrow sort of thing, where they're just like planet hopping and going through a bit of like, space rowdiness rather than back on Earth.
I could see that, which is a little bit of a shame, because I actually think there's more potential of like, what if Kara was there as a teenager whilst Clark was growing up as a young boy. I think actually sounds a bit more interesting to me. But I mean, this could still be a lot of fun though. I mean, I have no idea what the plot's going to be once they're in space and like what they're doing there. But yeah, it's got a fun cover. I like the cover. She's got like a ray gun, and she's got like Cal and like his red cape's kind of like a little makeshift. What do you call it? It's not a sling, but it's like
sling is what I would
baby
say.
Sling. But yeah, so that's Supergirl Survive issue 1 hitting in early June. Next up, we got The Dead Man issue 1, which we did know about. This was something that was kind of revealed at the conventions last month, but this is W. Maxwell Prince writing with Martin Morazzo on the art, doing a Dead Man book as part of Next Level. So he's a quirky character, so he might be, good for their style, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I could see this being either something that is a bit more lighthearted and quirky, like you're saying, or we could even go like as deep and metaphysical as like the Resurrection Man series was, sort of thing. It could really go either way.
It could be both, to be honest. Like, it could be quirky, but then also go deep and say a lot about life and death and all the rest of it. So that is The Dead Man. So not just Dead Man, The Dead Man, right?
Yes.
Right.
It's not Batman, it's The Batman.
Right. So, like, I'm sure eventually someone will tell him to drop the, but we're not there yet. Okay.
They need to end every book that has the in front of it with that. It's like, no, you're not The Teen Titans. Just Teen Titans.
Then we have Lobo issue 4, which they're also kind of promoting here because it's got Supergirl tie-in stuff happening. Just kind of feels like Supergirl's making a cameo for one issue in Lobo, just to sort of mark the summer.
Especially having read Lobo today, it just feels like, she's showing up that one time.
Yeah, it's not going to be a prominent thing. And then they're still showing off some of their newer books that started just this week even. We got Deathstroke the Terminator issue 4, so that's rocking on. We also have Batwoman issue 4 with a very simple cover there with her mask split in half, so curious to see how that gets to. And then we got Barbara Gordon Breakout issue 2, which I'm very much looking forward to, because it's a fun premise by and Tamaki's writing, who I quite like. Honestly, that's quite a pretty neat cover as well. You got...
Yeah, I was going to say, do we know who that villain is?
I don't think... It's a very Grim Reaper-looking kind of, like, spectre almost, but she's chasing Barbara Gordon in her orange jumpsuit down the prison halls. It looks good. It's a cool cover.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a variant here by Mora, which is, like... It's, like, half Batgirl in her outfit, but half, like, zombie. It's like sort of these layers. It's a pretty neat cover.
Yeah, so very unsettling.
Then we got the Fury of Firestorm issue 3, so we haven't started that one yet, but curious. That's more Jeff Lemire. Zatanna issue 3 is also solicited here by Jamal Campbell, which, is that not monthly? Because I feel like, no, I'm thinking of something, because there was another Zatanna book recently, that's what I'm thinking of. This one's not started yet.
This is just, they rebooted it again.
Yeah.
I think the last one was Jamal Campbell as well. I think this is like the same exact team, but they just are starting an ongoing instead of a mini.
Well, in that case, I don't feel bad for not or confusing the two of them then, because my brain was just clicking things together. All right, holy crap! This cover for Absolute Batman issue 1. Two-Face has got an interesting look in the Absolute universe. If this is what this cover's showing me,
yes. So there's also a variant as well that has the Penguin as well on there, and I think, and this is just me hedging my bets, I don't think this is actually the A cover. I think that they're doing a thing where they are being all secretive about what the A cover is actually going to be, because it's just too similar to the other one. But in terms of the actual looks for them, Two-Face has got a whole thing going on here with the white hair and all that.
It's basically like he's Two-Face, right? He's got the two-colored suit, and that's all fine. Mm-hmm. And I assume his face is going to be pretty similar to what we think of, but he's basically grown like anime villain hair that goes down in front of his face to hide his face. Which like the idea that he would try and hide his face because he's ashamed of it with long hair does make some sense. Mm-hmm. So I don't hate it.
He's giving me real Devil May Cry sort of vibes. That's where I'm getting out of this.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
And then Penguin as well on the variant. Like you see a lot more of him, and oof. Jesus, I get where it's coming from, but he has absolutely been put through the ringer a lot more than I thought he did.
Yeah. Absolute Catwoman issue 1's coming in June. We knew about this as well. This is another limited series set in the Absolute universe. Looking forward to checking out that when it hits. Mm-hmm. We get Absolute Green Arrow issue 2, which is the first of the two miniseries we're getting from the Absolute side of things. So that's there. Yep. Absolute Wonder Woman issue 21, that rolls on. So not much to add. Same with Absolute Superman issue 20, which is cool.
Although without spoiling what it is, the solicit is definitely interesting of all the people we're going to be seeing by this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's also a redacted in there. Like, so there's someone they're actively hiding. But I don't know, no solicit for Absolute Superman is going to top that one that teased Black Adam and it said the absolute, the power of the Absolute universe is about to change, or the hierarchy, of power is about to change. That popped me so much. Absolute Green Lantern issue 15. So that, again, continuing on what we've been doing based on the last issue. And then Absolute Flash issue 16, missing cover, which could either mean they're hiding something or they're just not done yet.
in my experience of having to make thumbnails for all the cut up bits, Absolute Flash never has its cover ready by the time that solicits come around.
Interesting. So yeah, those are the Absolute books, which takes us on to Batman issue 10, which is a very nice cover as well, actually, with Batman standing on top of like a very, very narrow spire at the top of a building. With the light hitting underneath his cape. Very, very nice. Yeah. We got Poison Ivy issue 45, which...
Still continuing the Meyer stuff. Still good. Yeah.
Very, very impressive that that's got into 45 issues. Wilson's run is really, going along. Like, it's...
Yeah. That's I wonder if Wilson has an off-ramp. Like, is there something where she only wants to go to 50, or is she just like, 100 issues, Poison Ivy, let's do it?
I don't know. That just kind of depends, I guess. Then we got Nightwing 139, and I love the cover of this one. It looks like an old paperback horror novel. Having read today's issue and knowing what the current arc is now makes a lot of sense. So I haven't really been keeping up that much with Nightwing as it's been coming out. I've been listening to you guys talk about it, but this arc, if this is the direction it's going in, I'm very intrigued by it. Then we got Catwoman issue 88, which again also has a very nice cover. I don't know if that's meant to just be Bones or it's Black Mask.
Black Mask,
maybe Black Mask. But he looks giant. He's like a kaiju on the cover, and he's like sort of like trying to eat Catwoman.
I have to stand in for Matt here and read off the last line. Plus, things get a bit hairy for old Slam Bradley.
Old Slam Bradley.
Yep. So I guess Matt's going to be reading Catwoman for the Slam Bradley backups or whatever's going on.
Then we got Harley Quinn issue 63. 63 issues, and I've not paid attention to a single one of them.
Every single time a new issue comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, this is still going.
Yep. We got Harley and Ivy Life and Crimes issue 6, which I'm going to assume is the last issue of that.
I think so,
book.
Yep.
We got Detective Comics 1110, doing more of tailoring Yana's run. We got Green Arrow and Black Canary involved in this story, so that's cool.
Yep. Is that, sorry, I'm looking at the variants. No, okay, it's Robin. For some reason, I thought that it was New Superman, Keenan Kong. Like the color gradient just got me. There's, I guess we briefly mentioned a bunch of these covers are also doing Pride Month stuff for the variants, because that is a major thing that's happening here.
Yeah, we got Batgirl issue 20, doing a murder mystery issue, which sounds cool. I'm into it. Segovia on art for that issue. He tends to be pretty solid, so I'm not mad at that. So, neat. We got Wonder Woman issue 34. This is, of course, just continuing the Wonder War, which has just started this week. So, we'll talk about that later.
Saying it's the conclusion of Act 1. So,
yes.
Wonder War goes on for a while, but we're at least hitting the end of first act.
Which, to be fair, that was exactly the first 19 issues of the book. It was like this 3-part long arc. It was like, so it makes sense that this next big section is the same kind of thing. It's a 3-part endeavor. Then we got Justice League Unlimited issue 20. Guy Gardner's haircut was sticking out to me more than anything on that cover, if I'm honest.
That team on the cover is the Superman team. Mr. Terrific's not there, but he's always behind the desk anyway. But that's the Justice Gang.
True. It's Guy, Metamorpho, and Hot Girl. You're right. I wonder if they're going to try and make that more of a consistent thing in the book, or it's just like a one issue kind of we'll do the movie team up for funds.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, JSA issue 20. Hopefully I'll be more excited by that by the time this comes out. I don't.
You're telling me the Spectre on the cover doesn't just fill you with shock and awe and wow?
Not particularly.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. New Titans issue 36. So yeah, it's excited to see where that goes after this first issue of the new run, but not much we want to say without spoiling things yet. But cool. And then we have Adventures of Superman, the Book of El, issue 9, so that's kind of ramping up to the final sort of section of that, which is cool. We have The Flash, issue 34, which, we don't know how we feel about Ryan North's run yet, because it's not started yet, but hoping I like it.
Yeah, default into Gorillas. That's the Silver Age as it gets.
It's a very Silver Age cover, actually. Hey,
absolutely.
And if nothing else, they're getting rid of that stupid outfit that he's been wearing.
Yeah, I'm always okay with them trying out a new outfit for an issue, but if it doesn't work, you need to back down quicker than that.
No, but remember when we had Tim Drake in his UPS outfit for a year?
When he was the Drake.
That's right, I forgot about that part of it. The Drake. Oh, jeez. Emperor Aquaman, issue 18, so that's trickling along, and notably guest stars Green Lantern for an issue.
I was going to say, Jeremy Adams is also writing Green Lantern, right?
Yep.
So, just a crossover between the two.
Yep. Final few pages of Emperor Aquaman that came out this month did not look too hot, based on what I saw on Discord, so happy to be staying away from that book still.
Oh, well. Put it on a vote.
Then we got Green Lantern issue 36, which I am excited about Kyle Rayner taking over as the main character in that, but we'll see how that pans out once it actually starts. Green Lantern Corps issue 17. We're doing Manhunter stuff, so cool. Sure. And then we got Justice League Dreamgirls, a DC Pride event issue 1.
Keep scrolling down.
Oh, and issue 2. And issue 3, and issue 4. So
it's a month-long thing.
Right, okay, right. So they're doing the Batman Santa Claus treatment.
Yep.
All right.
For Pride Month.
Makes sense. We got Greg Rucka, Josiah Axelrod, Nicole Maines, all writing on this. I think Batwoman's a backup story, but the other two are doing the main thing.
It looks like every issue's going to have a different backup story, probably for Pride. So there's Green Lantern Corps on one, Poison Ivy on another. I don't see who's it for the 4th issue, but yeah.
Okay. Maybe the 4th one either doesn't have one because it's just taking all the pages for the end of the story, or they've just not told us.
Could be.
Because there is an extra writer. Klaus Jansson's on that 4th issue. So if there is a backup, it'll be by him.
I was just say, what has Klaus Janson done recently?
Didn't he do... I may be wrong. Maybe it's because his name sounds Nordic, but didn't he do Darkness of Steel All Winter?
God, I can't remember. Potentially.
No, actually, didn't Klaus Janson do the Santa Claus book? Maybe that's what he did.
That seems too convenient for me. But hold on. I've got his stuff up here. Let me see if I can figure that out. Anyway, this particular book has got Dreamgirl and Galaxy, who it's insane to me how we've managed to do this cross-media stuff, because Galaxy began in the young adult novel section and got brought into the main universe. And then Dreamgirl, whatever her name is, Dreamer, she got brought in from the Arrowverse as well. So crazy to me that we've managed to get both those things brought over.
Wasn't Dreamer a thing before that, though?
No, there was, in the Legion, there's Dreamgirl or Dreamer, who her character is a descendant of this one.
Okay.
That's the backstory.
Yeah, but I knew there was a Dreamer before, though. I mean, I get that the one they've got now is a lot more based on the TV show version, but the TV show character was based on a comic book character, but they've kind of done like a sort of full circle kind of thing here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The comic book characters in the future, this one's set now, and they said, oh, okay, it's because she's a ancestor to the one that we were familiar with.
But when they made the TV character, they weren't thinking, they just thought, we'll just have her in present day. That's all they thought, right? And then when they did put in the comic book, they sort of came up with some retcon of like, okay, this is how she exists. This is how it makes sense.
I got Klaus Jansson's stuff up here. I'm not seeing anything he's done recently here. He is drowning out with Marvel work, so beats me what he was in.
Really? He's definitely done a DC thing. I'm sure he has.
I mean, I'm sure let me just see if I can limit by DC recently. He did some for the Batman Deadpool book. He was working on that. And then the most recent thing before that was when Stan Lee died, there was a Tales from Earth-6 celebration of Stan Lee. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. He could be working on literally anything.
Maybe his name just seems familiar. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to admit, like, I feel bad for not being interested in this, but like, nothing about the creators writing the main story, or really even these two characters that are leading the story, are doing anything for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just as simple to say it's a book that's not really meant for you. Like, it's got its audience. It has people who are definitively going to be super up for this sort of thing, and it's good that they're getting their book, but it's just not for probably me or you. Yeah,
nah, I guess that's that. But so there you go. And then we still have some more books here. We got Batman Superman World's Finest 52. 52! They got to the magic DC number. Look at that.
Hooray! And they're doing a Skottie story.
I am not interested in reading that one bit, I'll tell you that much.
Woo.
Bizarro Year None, issue 2 is coming out. Speaking of things I'm not interested in reading, that's there. And then we got Gotham Academy First Year, issue 5, so that's trucking along as well.
Finally. That book was delayed for like 6 months.
Yeah, I was going to say I feel like issue 1 was a while ago, but I mean, you know, my memory shifts in and out for these things. DC Sonic the Hedgehog Metal Legion issue 2. Robotnik's got a Lex Luthor suit on.
I was gonna say, out of all the covers, like usually they do a pretty good job of balancing between Sonic and like DC stuff, but this one it's all DC and then Robotnik.
Well, I mean, name a second Sonic villain.
The Metal Sonic.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. However, the variant does have Sonic as Flash, Shadow as Batman, and Knuckles as Superman. I guess because
that one's pretty well.
Yeah, because Knuckles flies, you see, so I guess he's Superman. Shadow's color scheme fits.
Edgy.
And then, I mean, honestly, like, I get why Sonic's the Flash. I still feel like his head should still be blue, though. Like, give him a red suit, but like, turning him red just makes it hard to tell him apart from Knuckles. Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. The other variant, Amy Rose, has got the Wonder Woman outfit on. She looks fine. She's good there.
Well, the cover for the last issue had all these characters with these things as well, but a couple other ones thrown in. There was like a Tails was Cyborg, I think, and then there was another one.
Tails was Cyborg, Silver was Green Lantern, and I think I remember you guys got into a conversation that there's a cat character as well. There's two. There's Blaze the Cat and Big the Cat.
Big the Cat, yeah. Big the Cat was the first one, I think, and then Blaze is like one of the... And then there's also Rouge the Bat.
Yes. It's too many characters.
I guess, I suppose she should be Batgirl by default if you're going to give her one.
That would actually, because I think she works side by side with Shadow, like in continuity, so that would definitely work.
There you go. Bleeding Hearts issue 5, so we're in the Vertigo section now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there. The Pearl, the Brutal Dark, and Ezra Kane Mystery issue 5. So that's
the only one you'll be checking out.
Very possibly, unless I'm forgetting one from later on. It's a cool cover though, with him dangling from a rope above the city. Very, very pulpy. End of Life issue 5. Yep, I hated that first issue. So there's that. Superman Father of Tomorrow issue 2. That's that Elseworld that you brought up earlier. So that's there.
Yep.
And then we got Swamp Thing 1989 issue 3, which obviously is just about to start soon as well. So cool. And then we got some facsimile editions of various things as we do. Just scroll past those.
Some of them tying into the Supergirl summer thing.
Yeah, sometimes they tie into something, sometimes they're just kind of random, like, oh, here's a big book we're just deciding to do a facsimile of. And then we get to the collections. We have the hardcover and softcover of DCKO, which, you could spend your money on better books, honestly.
If you're interested in KO, I think that you'd be better off waiting for whatever the omnibus is, because they've got all of the trades listed today, and there's too many to justify getting the entire event spread over all of this. The
problem is, though, is that most of the other stuff, because DCKO All Fight, which is here, like, that sucked. Like, it sucked. I would not recommend it at all.
Yep.
And then there's the DC KO Justice League Unlimited collection, which is basically just the next volume of Justice League Unlimited. It just happens to be all a tie-in to KO. So that's there.
Naming consistency is not their best, because it's Justice League Unlimited : DCKO. Fine. But then the next one is DCKO : Superman, which is just the next volume of Superman.
Which, feels weird. And then there's DCKO Battle Royale, which is just kind of like a hodgepodge of all the other little things. Like there's Night Fight 184's in there, the one-shot specials are in there.
I love the fact that Night Fight couldn't get its own trade. They're like, nah, we're not going to bother trying. We're going to sink it in with all the other stuff.
Well, I think if you don't, right, you end up with like a relatively short trade, and then all these one-shots are also a relatively short trade. And well, I could see them trying to milk it. Maybe they realize none of them are good enough, and the best hope they have is to put them all together so that completionists will just want them to round everything out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So only the main story those got a hardcover. The rest are all just soft cover. Which fine, I guess. But yeah, you're right. They'll eventually do some kind of whaled omnibus. But honestly, though, like, what would the reading order even be for the omnibus?
Pretty much release order, I would assume. Because like it's going to be that.
I get that the fight month would be between issues like 2 and 4, because that's where that all took place, like in terms of the continuity of the tournament. But all the stuff with like Superman and Justice League Unlimited, like that's just kind of running throughout, but it's also so separate that it would feel weird to like intersperse them into the KO issues.
Look, I've on my shelf right now, I've got the Flashpoint 10th anniversary omnibus, which takes all of like those various one-shots and stuff like that as well, and they had to fit them in somewhere. I haven't read it to figure out how it does it, but clearly DC has some idea as to what they're doing with it.
With that one, though, I bet they're in just chunks. It's like, oh, here's the Batman 1 to 3, here's the Green Lantern 1 to 3.
I know it's not that.
Is it not?
I've opened it up and have double-checked that. Like, there was a Booster Gold one, and it's like, all right, here's the first one. 700 pages later, here's the third one.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
yeah.
All right, not the greatest reading experience then, I would say.
Yeah.
Then we got Bruce Wayne, Not Super, The Bat Catastrophe. This is a new graphic novel, which looks very lighthearted in tone. Looks like a kid's kind of thing. So
yeah, looks like a teen sort of aimed book in terms of like Batman looks like a teen.
And then all in the same lines, we got Teen Titans Go on Strike. Another new, well, it's not a graphic novel, but it's another more kid-friendly collection. 7 to 12 of that series. Then we get Absolute Martian Manhunter, Volume 2 of the Agency, hardcover and trade paperback. This is issues 7 through 12. So that's cool. Then we got Batman Static Beyond, softcover collection. Then we have the Aquaman Volume 2, Justice League Blue collection. Then we got Batgirl Volume 3, War of Shadows collection, which is issues 12 through 16 of the current run. Then we got GSA Volume 3, Year 1 hardcover and softcover, which is issues 13 through 18, which I guess makes sense. Pete
will happily be picking that one up in hardcover.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they see it as prestigious because they've called it a Year 1, or maybe they've just been doing hardcovers of this series because it's Jeff Lemire or whatever. But yeah, very lukewarm in that across the board, I feel like.
Yeah.
Then we got Superman Unlimited Volume 2. This looks like a job. ... So this is issues 7 through 10 and the Chains of Love special.
Yes, gotta have that in there.
That's such a see when I was reading stuff primarily through collections like over a decade ago, right? Or even before that, this is like pre-Flashpoint we're talking here. I used to hate when you get like a dinky little collection where you have to get it because it's like volume 3 out of 6 volumes, but it's like only 3 regular issues and like a special that's just kind of like a filler issue. But because it's like double, triple size, it's like the page count makes it trade size. But you realize as you're reading it, I only get 3 new issues of the actual book here that I was enjoying. I would always hate that when I was collecting collections.
No, I mean, I'm wrapping up on New 52 right now, and the last Batman trade, there are 10 Batman trades for a 52 issue long series. There are 10 trades, and the last one is literally like 51, 52, the Rebirth issue, and then some random ass other crap that they thought would fit in here.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Because I remember they did that weird thing where there was 1 or 2 issues before 0 Year, but it didn't fit into the 0 Year trade, so they held them until after 0 Year. So you got 2 issues from before 0 Year, and 1 issue from after 0 Year, and then an annual, and that was a trade, and it was you assholes.
That's volume number 6 is 18, 23, 24, 17. And some notes we found on Scott Snyder's desk.
So anyway, just annoying. Then after that, we have Batman Superman World's Finest Volume 9, which is 44 to 49 of that series.
Volume 9, Jesus.
I know that's both hardcover and softcover, which, I guess, 9 volumes.
I mean,
it
has that. It has Mark Russell written as a writer, which means it has that Robin and Supergirl book issue that you guys liked.
Oh yeah, that was a very good issue. Yeah, that was a very good issue. But it also has all of the Joker Lex hybrid stuff by the looks of it as well, which is literally where I said I'm done with this book. That was the final straw. After a lot of mediocrity that I was not enjoying, that was the straw that I went, no, never again.
Yeah.
And we got Detective Comics Volume 3, The Courage That Kills, hardcover and softcover. Obviously, that's the most recent arc that we just finished up in the book, which was a very good arc, actually. So, good stuff. Catwoman Volume 3, Court of Fools, which is a Catwoman Court of Owls arc, which is intriguing, I must say.
Yeah.
From the current run. Then we got Injustice Gods Among Us, Year 1 DC Compact Edition. So, nice big, hefty 400-page Tom Taylor Injustice book, which is, I think, the first thing he ever really wrote for DC, at least in long form anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember I looked into this at some point. I think this was the first thing he did, but he very quickly got onto a couple of New 52 books.
So there's that, and then we got Dark Knight's Metal Compact Edition. Then we got Green Lantern Hard Traveling Heroes.
Sorry, just to jump in with the Metal one.
Yeah.
The contents of that, read this in any other format. There's no reason to stick around with this. It's 1 through 6, for some reason, then Batman Lost #1 and Dark Knight's Rising to Wild Hunt. Like, that book had so many tie-ins, and the fact they chose those two basically out of a hat seems so random to me.
Yeah, because wasn't there like the two? Because there's like two one-shots that led into it. It was like the Forge and the Casting.
Hawkman Found. Yeah, there was Forge and Casting. No, forget Hawkman Found.
No, forget Hawkman. No, I'm talking specifically those two that led into it. I actually feel like they're essential issues. Hawkman Found is not. Hawkman Found is as useless as these two are.
Oh yeah, no, but like Forge and Casting, absolutely. Those were like big lead-in things that like explained half the stuff of how this was all going to work.
Yeah.
And then I would argue that like at least a couple of the what is it called? The one-shots for the Dark Batman, like the ones that focused on them.
Yeah,
like some of those are a little bit critical to understanding what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, but you can't just include one or two of those. You either have all of them or you have none of them, right? Yeah. But the Forge and the Casting feel like they're essential. They feel like they're issue 0 and 0.5 of Metal, right? That's what they are. So yeah, them putting in Lost and Whale Hunt, which are two of the more forget. I don't even remember what was in those, to be honest. So.
I can't remember Batman Lost. I think that was more of just like a Barbados taunting him thing. But Wild Hunt's the one where like the random ass team makes Earth number 53 and it's like the monkey world. Like, I don't know what that's doing there at all.
Anyway, next up is DC's Finest, Green Lantern, Hard Traveling Heroes. So it's just kind of in that format of that for that story. Then we got DC's Finest, Justice League of America, Crisis on Earth X, which, cool. Then and that's a briefly 600-page one as well. We got The Flash by Joshua Williamson, Omnibus Volume 3.
Still not done. I think it went till issue like 85 or whatever. The League of Comic Geeks does have the incorrect information listed. It copied a Suicide Squad solicit instead.
I was going to say, I was looking for what the Flash issues were in this, and it was like Flash issue 12, and I'm like, there's more than that.
Yeah. Also, this one goes up to like issue 64, I think.
Yeah, if they're Omnibus Volume 3 and they're only at Flash issue 12, like they are, like what have they been putting in these things?
I think he had like 3 issues prior to the Rebirth era, whatever. So we're expecting a Volume 4? Like we have a 4? Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe I was misreading that. It looks like, according to Comic Geeks, this does go up to issue 800. So
this is I would expect this to be the final omnibus of this run.
Yep.
God damn. Talk about. I mean, honestly, looking back on it, I don't even think the early parts were that great. Like, I think like there was a lot of excitement for Rebirth and excitement for it doing stuff with bringing Wally back and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
That, it got a lot of like leeway early on, but by the time it got to the Still Force and it got to the year 1 that was terrible and all that stuff, god damn, that run went down the toilet.
Yeah, Flash War, I think, was the last point that you guys were like, okay, we're okay with this. This is all right.
Yeah, Flash War was not bad, yeah. And then it kind of went from there. Dead Man by Kelly Jones, the complete collection. So that's a reprint of that entire story. So that's cool. Firestorm the Nuclear Man, United We Fall, new edition. So that's the 6-issue series. And then we got Green Lantern Kyle Rayner Volume 1, new 2026 printing. So this is just the start of the Kyle Rayner solo series from the 90s.
Also adds Emerald Twilight in there, just so you get the context.
Yeah. So nice that they're reprinting that. And then we got Deathstroke Volume 1, The Professional. So, yeah.
That's the Rebirth series.
Yep. So they're reprinting that, which really only issues 1 to 5 and Deathstroke one-shot. So this is just...
I guess that may have been where the first arc like technically ended, maybe.
Well, I get that, but I feel like if they were reprinting that, I would expect it maybe like double-sized trades or whatever. They're literally just doing the first volume again.
I don't know. I'm sure they have their reason for it.
Batman Arkham Clayface, new printing, so they're doing that.
This just seems like a best of Clayface sort of thing. Like it's Detective Comics 40 and stuff, whatever.
Yeah, one of the first trades or collections I ever bought was not this branding, obviously, because it was ages ago, but it was like basically like a best of Scarecrow, like one shots from like various Batman and Detective comic issues.
Okay.
So I just remember buying that back in the day. Absolute Batman Incorporated, new printing. So this isn't even the first time this has been an absolute version, but it's coming back out. And then we got Aquaman by Jeff Johns, book 1. So this is the New 52 series, but in like sort of double-sized trades. Cool. Then we got Batman by Tom King, Omnibus, volume 2, which has got 36 to 39 of Batman and a few obviously other things.
This is the one I was thinking of because it has the Flash 64 and 65 in it. That's what I was thinking of. The Flash there.
That'll be not the Button, but the second time they crossed over for a couple issues.
That was the Heroes in Crisis like weirdness with Gotham Girl.
Yeah. So this wouldn't be the end. There's still some more of his initial run left, but I assume volume 3 will include Batman Catwoman whenever it happens. So
I wouldn't be surprised if it also extends out to like Killing Time and potentially Penguin as well, if they just do all of Tom King's Batman.
Potentially, yeah. Batwoman Omnibus, new printing. So this is the original Greg Rucka stuff, as well as the New 52 stuff.
Yes,
seemingly. So, which is that's a bit of a mixed bag.
I mean, here's the thing. It's not even all the New 52 stuff. New 52 got up to issue like 34 or whatever. This is literally right up to the point where they were teasing Kate and Maggie were going to get married, and then DC pulled the plug on it, and everybody quit the book.
Okay, interesting. I still feel like though you'd probably better off just getting like Batwoman by Rucka Deluxe or whatever the collection is. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's just Batwoman Elegy. I think that's what that's always been sold as.
Well, no, because the original version of it was missing like 3 issues because there was an Elegy arc and he did like a few more issues, and those few more issues weren't included in the. But I think the later versions of it do. So if you buy it now, you're probably getting the full thing. But if you're getting like an old printing from like back in like 2010-ish, say, it's only got the Elegy story and not the extra issues. Anyway, Birds of Prey by Gil Simone, Omnibus Volume 2. So it's cool that they're omnibusing, omnibusizing. That's not a word, but sure that. So makes sense. I don't think that's the end of her run though either. I think there'll be a Volume 3.
It says the thrilling conclusion to Simone's acclaimed run, so I assume that's the end of it.
Well, I guess they're not including then when... Oh, no, they are including that 1 to 50 when she came back. Okay, never mind. I didn't see that in the solicit text. Because she came back after Brightest Day and did like a new Birds of Prey series for 15 issues, and I didn't think that was there, which is why I didn't think this was the ending. But no, it is. So they're including everything. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, neat. And then we got Gotham City Year 1 Deluxe Edition. It's cool that that's getting that, because it didn't sell that well, but clearly it's got enough acclaim now that they're going for it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I do wonder how much of it is also just, hey, with Supergirl coming out, maybe Tom King, we just push him a little harder.
Maybe. But it does feel the sort of thing that even if it didn't sell that well in singles, that they can keep doing hardcovers and stuff, and it'll do well enough because it's got a cool title.
It's an evergreen, absolutely.
Very standalone as well. We got Commandy, Last Boy on Earth by Jack Kirby, Omnibus hardcover, new printing. We got Maelstone Compendium 5. That's a lot of compendiums. God damn. 1,300 pages this bad boy is.
Features a never-before-seen milestone story, so I hope you're willing to shell out $60 for it.
We got Power Girl, New Beginnings, and Old Friends Omnibus. This is... What is this exactly?
I think it's mostly the Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti run from before New 52.
Right, okay. And then some other little bits and pieces that tie into it. Then we got Superman the Triangle Era Omnibus Volume 3, so that's neat that they're continuing the Triangle Era stuff. And for those of you who don't know what that means, the Triangle Era was a time when basically Superman Action Comics and Superman Volume 2, which is, I know sounds awkward, but those were basically became one weekly book just under those 3 titles, so you had to like sort of bounce between them all. It kind of became like a more of a square actually, because they started Man of Steel as the 4th book, which this includes some Man of Steel issues, but they still called it the Triangle Era. The reason for that is because they all have this triangle on the cover with it basically tells you this is like it's Superman 34, but it's triangle number 12 or whatever it is. If
you're keeping up with the whole line, you read the triangle number.
Yeah. So this is Volume 3 of that. And it went for a while. It went all the way up, basically, through Death of Superman until after that, basically. So
I was going to say, they've got Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey, which was the sequel series to Death of Superman.
Yeah. So That's cool. And they basically did the same thing with Batman Detective and whatever was going on there. They didn't call it the Triangle Era, I don't think, but it was basically, but the Batman books were doing the same thing during that era.
They called it the "we know you're already reading all these books already."
Because Nightfall happened during all that and all that stuff. That I said, Superman kept it going for a lot longer. Superman kept it going all the way up to about the year 2000, give or take. So,
damn.
But yeah, big stuff.
Well, look for Omnibus Volume 7 then. However deep we're going to get.
I mean, I'm assuming that they're about a year per volume worth of books.
Yeah. Looks like it's 10 issues per series, so it's even less than a year. Yeah.
So, depending on how far they keep going, they could get to like volume 10 of an omnibus series, which sounds insane. We got Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween softcover. So that's all right. Then we got Swamp Thing Dark Genesis Omnibus, and interestingly, this is two like hardcovers.
Yeah, it's like a slipcase
and a slipcase
cover.
Which is surprising though, because it's only 1,136 pages. That's like they've done omnibuses that are that size or even a bit bigger. So that's interesting. They're choosing to put this in a slipcase with 2 books.
Yeah, I don't know. It says in this first set, which leads directly to that. So maybe they're doing the thing where they're going to have like, the expanding set slipcase that you can buy separately. So
you think this is just the first book then?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's the image is confusing. Maybe this is only the first of the 2 entirely, but
yeah.
It could also just be an expanding slipcase thing, because they've done that before where they offer up like, if you only want these books, here's a slipcase, but if you want more, we'll sell you the larger slipcase later on. Yeah,
interestingly, it says here Swamp Thing 1 to 25 first, but it says that the final issue is completed here for the first time with art being completed. So there's something in here for people who are Swamp Thing like historians who want to like finally get that. So that's cool. And then the Saga of the Swamp Thing 1 to 15. Which takes you very close to the start of Alan Moore's run.
It says in this first set, which leads directly into Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, coming soon.
Right. Okay. Well, and I'm sure there's already an omnibus of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, though.
It's probably going to match like the binding and the trade dress of this one.
All right. And then we got the New Titans Omnibus, Volume 1. So that's interesting. So this is basically post New Teen Titans. They did New Titans, and this is not the same people necessarily, but like out of that era, because it's got the New Titans issues 50 to 76. So I think this leads probably pretty soon after, if not straight after that. All the big Marv Wolfman stuff came to an end. So that's cool. I like them doing omnibuses of like stuff that you wouldn't think of as the big runs. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no. This is when it comes to the old stuff. This is where I love seeing the like scatter shot, where it just picks up the odd issue that was never collected in anything else, and it's just able to justify it. Yep.
Then we got Wonder Woman Volume 2, Year 1, new printing. This is the Rebirth stuff. So that's cool. Then we got Wonder Woman: The Golden Age Omnibus Volume 3, new printing. So that's also neat, and that finally brings an end. That was a long collections section for the solicits.
Damn.
Yeah, that was beefy.
I mean, good on them. If they can keep on pumping out the collections, I know people who will buy them.
Anyway, let's get us on to the books for the week. Starting off with Superman Unlimited, issue 11, Dan Slott writing with Lucas Meyer on the art. And I'm not mad at seeing Lucas Meyer's name on the art credit.
It looks good.
I do enjoy his art. So this is an interesting issue, and it obviously sets something up by the end, and it's very different from what Slott's been doing on this book up until now. Obviously, he was teasing a little bit of this. He was teasing this arch nemesis for John. That's let me get his name here, because I'm not going to remember it until I see it.
Master Tixes.
Tixes, yes. I knew it was a bunch of Mixopolitic looking letters, but I couldn't remember what the formation was. Yes, Tixes. Master Tixes, a fourth dimensional demon. And this issue is largely just him showing up and being like, hey, John, we've not met yet, but I'm back here to destroy you before we ever actually become arch nemesis. And I'm going to like fight you through time. I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. And it also does kind of a lot to recap John's story, like his past. Like, here's, how he came to be. Here's how he sort of, got kidnapped for a few years, spent some time in a volcano, and finally came back, and his parents were sad that they missed part of his childhood, and so on and so on. It's a lot of recapping, which kind of works for new people jumping on. It also works because it's setting up what the cliffhanger is going to be at the end of this issue, because the premise that this is setting up, which we really just get to at the end of this, is that Tiggs's, I had to check his name again there, basically, because he gets defeated, right, effectively he accidentally it turns John into what he's going to become anyway by, like, forcing him into this position. He's like, shit, I'm going to give you some kind of a gift, effectively, and that gift is young John Kent gets like a ripple in time, and young John Kent comes out, and so we're going to have adult John Kent with rebirth young John Kent as a almost like a Batman and Robin-esque pairing going forward for this arc, seemingly.
It feels like the pulling of John Kent, young John Kent, is from the volcano era. It's like, as that began, it's like, all right, we're just going to say that didn't happen. We're pulling him out, and maybe one day he'll have to go back in there to not cause a paradox, but probably not. Yeah,
I mean, it seems like he was in the volcano when he's pulled out here, because he's like, oh, is anyone there? Like, he's been trying to fight his way out of the volcano. Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting, and obviously we're going to play with this idea that young John Kent doesn't know who old John Kent is, because by that point, John Kent's wearing a mask. He's become Tomorrow Man.
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen this all over the covers and stuff like that for like a few months now. It's been teasing, oh, here's this guy who's showing up post Superman, and he's wearing a mask, and he's also got like I think it was Matt who said like a flame bird sort of thing.
It was like a Nightwing.
Flame bird and Nightwing.
Yeah, it was a Nightwing-based looking thing, yeah.
He's got that going on. So we were all debating like, who is this guy? Who's going on here? I don't think I could have come up with a more convoluted answer as to how we got here, but I enjoyed the story. Like, I thought it was fun the way we did it, where even within the context of the story, Tixis is having fun with like, oh yeah, your dad disappeared, and like post DCKO, that's where we're at now. And John's like, no, we're not. He just fought the Puzzler last issue. And Tix is like, oh, sorry, let me fast forward a few weeks. Well, actually, and he like injects the knowledge into his head.
On that note, I love that he got his name wrong, because it wasn't the Puzzler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd he say? I can't even remember.
No, he said Puzzler, right? But
he said Puzzler.
But that wasn't his name, right? It was, okay, what was it? It wasn't Puzzler.
Puzzler, Trickster.
It wasn't
Riddler.
Trickster, because Trickster's the one that he kept assuming they're going to think him Prankster. It was the Prankster. There we go. Right, but I like that joke though. I liked it because that was like a running thing that no one remembered this loser's name. Yeah. Right, so I like that little callback. That was good stuff.
But yeah, Tix's entire thing is just basically he knows that him and John fight at like the edge of a black hole at the end of time or something like that, and we see that John's wearing the outfit. He's wearing like the clothes that he's going to get by the end of the issue. So Tixis comes back and basically just tries to discourage him the whole time. He's just trying to neg him of like, you suck. You're never going to be the real Superman. You're always going to be second best, second banana. And now your dad was back and he shows back up. Like, no one cares about you as Superman. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll become Tomorrow Man. And Tixis is like, crap. I did the thing that I didn't want to make happen.
Yeah, yes. I accidentally made my rival, like, too important to work. That's effectively what he did here. Yeah, I mean, I like the end result of this, and I think this villain is an interesting nemesis for John to be his specifically. I do think this issue suffers a little bit, though, from, like, in the middle, it's like, we're just kind of, like, bringing up memories, and we're just kind of, like, going through time. Mm-hmm. Like, here's some World War II images, here's a dinosaur, here's this. Like, it's all just background to, like, explaining John's story, and there's not really much happening until the last couple of pages. It's just very, like... like, I feel like you could have... maybe not got to the end point in a few pages, but I think you could have condensed a lot of what actually takes up the majority of this issue down to a few pages. Like, it really isn't actually that much going on. It's all just pretty generic, like flying in front of some planes from World War II and whatever else, right? There's a lot of stuff here that's just kind of fluff as we're kind of setting up what the story's going to be.
That's the thing, is I think for us it feels fluff because we are so familiar with John. We know what the story is. We've been keeping up with Superman Unlimited. I think viewing it as a jumping on point. This stuff is kind of needed because you do need to tell these people, like, John has a very complicated history even now, even before we throw in this weird time loop thing. He's already got a complicated history because even in the backstory they give him here, they gloss over the fact of, like, he was born during Convergence. We're not going to talk about that. And when they talk about Jor-El, it's like, I think they specifically say Jor-El took him and, like, traveled to the future or whatever. And it's like, that's what it is now. That's what the new history of the DC universe, like, guidebook set up as the current continuity. But as it was written, that wasn't what happened either. So it's all this slimming down to give you the most basic version that's necessary.
Well, which is fine. We don't need to have, like,
No.
we don't need to talk about Convergence ever.
No, of course not. Never. That was the first thing they retconned. As soon as they got into Rebirth, they're like, okay, Convergence never happened. Moving on.
Yes. No, it's just, you know, it's like, oh, like, he's like, I can attack you. I've all at times at my disposal. I can attack you with war machines, with dinosaurs, with this and that. And it's all just kind of fluff because it doesn't really feel like a real fight. It feels like just like, I think I like the idea of this villain, and he's kind of like a, like, because Mexipetalic's like, oh, he loves Superman and he wants to play with Superman. This isn't that, but I do kind of like this idea of, like, he thinks he's John's arch nemesis, but in kind of a fun, goofy way where he enjoys being his arch nemesis and wants to just torment him, but never actually do it. Like, this idea if, like, some other supervillain showed up and says, hey, I've actually got a way for you to kill John Kent. I like the idea that this demon would be like, oh, I don't know. I kind of like messing with him. I feel like that's, you know, not really what I want, to be honest.
I also kind of like it from the viewpoint of, because he is this master of time, he has, like, he knows where everything is going to end up anyway. He knows that, like, whatever he does up until that point is not going to matter. Like, he can't kill John. I mean, it's kind of the reverse Flash, like the Zoom sort of thing of, like, he can't kill Superboy up until that moment because he knows where their final fight's actually going to take place. So he can just do whatever and just be dicking around with him the whole time. I think this issue could have, as we get to the end of it, he does just kind of peace out and it doesn't feel like he's going to come back. I'm sure he will, but it doesn't feel like he's even the focus of this arc. It feels more like we're going to be more focused on the fact that there are two Johns than the fact that Tixis is even there.
Yeah. I see potential in him for sure. It just, this issue feels like it's a lot of wheels spinning. You know, unless you do need the refresher. If you need to remember and, like, learn about John's past and, like, set this stuff up, then I see why it's maybe good for a jumping on issue. But because that stuff doesn't feel necessary for me, and then all the stuff with, like, the fighting through time, it doesn't have that much weight to it because he is this monster, this demon that's just shown up, and he's very lighthearted. So it's not like, oh, it feels like John's been pushed to his limit or anything like that. It just kind of feels a bit fluffy. And then you get to the end and it's like, okay, so he takes, because he takes the outfit from, like, there's part of, like, he's attacking him with, like, stuff from World War II and dinosaurs, but he also attacks him with, like, these, like, Superman space cops and these, like, hover cars from the future. And John takes, like, part of their outfit to make his Tomorrow Man outfit. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is just my identity now. I'm stealing this from this future stuff. So, I mean, I personally, I'm okay with this for at least the reign of the Superboy stuff. It feels weird if this tries to continue on past that. Yeah. Like, if we don't have this, I'm fine either way once we get out of this, of either old, I guess, Tomorrow Man going away or sending back young John to where he was. However they want to come out of this, I think it has a way to make it work. But both of them being around just feels messy. I'm
fine with it for an arc. Like, I'm not to have a problem with that. Yeah. I never even considered the idea that somehow, like, Tomorrow Man might sacrifice himself and we're back to young John permanently. Like, he sticks around and it's like he never had to grow up in the volcano. Like, I'm not thinking that's going to happen, but you just saying that as a possibility is kind of interesting. Like, if they want to, like, retcon the retcon almost.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, what's sticking him here right now is, like, okay, look, we've already dealt with, he might have a little trauma. He's already broken up with his boyfriend, so, like, he doesn't have a relationship he has to deal with there. I think this could end with a thing of, like, yeah, no, I'm going to go off and, like, I'm going to have the final fight with Tixis, which is at a singularity point in time, and maybe he has to do the sacrifice play there.
Yeah, and it's not even like it would be, like, if he goes to like Superman and Lois, it's not even like they're adopting someone. It is still John. It's still their John. He's just, and this was a time period they missed with him, and now he gets to grow up as normal. If anything, they've delayed him growing up because he was all this time away nonsense. He's starting this age a few years later than he would have been otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I wonder if that would mess up a little bit is, I guess it wouldn't. The Tom King future timeline stuff with Trinity, but like he seems to be roughly the same age that he should be.
Because it's just like it seems like a big gap just now. Right, because Damien's like 13, 14, and he's maybe like 19, 20. But that's that's nothing when you're an adult. Like that no. I mean, that's the same difference between us, and we don't seem like we're vastly different ages.
No, not at all, Boomer.
Har 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 har. So no, and if anything in that future stuff with Tom King, it feels like John and Damien seem about the same age, which would be more in line with him being the kid version now than not.
Yeah. So maybe this is just I don't think it was planned that far in advance, but once Dan Slott came up with the idea, maybe it was just like, can we make this work?
Again, I'm not convinced that that's what they're going to do, but I think the option is kind of there, which is interesting. It's just a question of like, do they want to stick to adult John for any reason? Is there something they want to keep him around for, or do they feel like they've got more they can do with young John at this point?
Strangely enough, obviously we haven't gotten to it this week, but it does feel like he might be a bit of a leadership role on New Titans, so he'd have to back down from that, I feel like, but that's it. That's the only thing I could think of. That's
maybe the one wrench here is that New Titans has kind of established older John in that, and that's going to be a thing, at least going for an arc or two, you'd assume.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting though. But yeah, so we get this final 2-page spread, and young John's like, "Oh, I'm free," and he's got the jacket with the S on it that he had back at the start of Rebirth and all that. And old John's like, "Oh boy." So I feel like we're going to do some fun here, where young John doesn't know who Tomorrow Man is for a while, and he's going to like hide it until there's a big reveal later on, and we'll see how he reacts to all that stuff.
I'm wondering, is this a thing where Tomorrow Man, old John, may like try to keep his own identity secret for a while? Because it looks like, at least for a couple of issues here, there is going to be some level of John against old John. It does seem like they are going to be fighting each other, so maybe he keeps a bit of a low profile, or like maybe he's purposefully antagonistic a little bit towards the younger John, of just like, yeah, well, you didn't have to go through my trauma.
Well, not yet.
Theoretically, not ever. He's out of the volcano. He doesn't have to do it.
He's probably going back. Like, I still think that's the most likely thing, is that he's going back. But so Tomorrow Man and Superboy. It sounds like a thing.
Yep.
All right. And the art by Meyer is pretty solid. It's very clean, as it usually is. It's very bold and colorful. I think the only thing that hurts it for me is because it is just this kind of like drifting through different time periods, is there's not a lot of progression or like sense of continuity. Like there's it's not like we're in a location so you get a sense of space or a sense of like, because normally, let's say you're fighting in a building, you go through a wall, you're down the street, there's a sense of like, we move from there to there, and there's like a sense of time and geography. There's none of that here, because it's like, one page there's a dinosaur, next page we're in the sky and there's planes, next page there's this. There's no sense of like continuity here.
No, like the very first page where he's talking to John, it's the ruins of Smallville. And before I've read the page, I was like, oh, did I miss something? Like, I haven't been keeping up on every Superman Unlimited issue. Did I miss something that I need to go back for? But then he's like, no, this is Smallville in a few hundred years. And here it is when tornadoes were there. And here it is when it's underwater. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, time means nothing. Location means nothing.
Yeah. So but that's not like a negative on the art. Like quality, it's just that the premise doesn't lend itself to some other strengths that I would get from the art, So, all right, what are you giving Superman Unlimited?
I still really enjoyed like the timey-wimey aspect of it, and I think it's setting up for some cool stuff. So I'm still gonna give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'll go with a straight 7. I'm in a similar kind of boat, but yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. Still good, like when it sets up at the end, but like I say, I have my reservations just about like kind of the bulk content of this issue in particular. So, all right. Wonder Woman issue 31, legacy number 831, Tom King writing with Daniel Sampere on the art. So this is the start of the Wonder War. They're marketing this is kind of the big next thing. And like we were saying, we did Solicits earlier, much like that first 19 issues, which was 3 arcs that made one big trilogy of arcs. This seems to be doing the same thing, where this is Act 1 of a three-part story. So, yeah. And right away, there's some mystery to this, because, who's narrating? And not just, one person either. There is 2 narrators dueling narrating, and then right at the end of the book, a third narrator comes in, and it was okay. Yes. And you're trying to guess from the way they talk about someone. They're like, okay, does this give us a hint as to who this is? I'm not really sure, to be honest, yet, but
there was one bit somewhere in the middle where they say my sister or something like that, and all I could think is, this is the Fates. This is the ancient Greek 3 sisters Fates or whatever, because one of them is specifically talking about how the story starts at this point, which is more of the middle, and then the other one saying how it starts back in the past, even further back. And obviously the Fates are focused on past, present, future, so maybe that's where this is going from.
I guess I was thinking too much in a which character is this, as opposed to something more mythical like that. But they have specific colors for that, but then every once in a while they'll do that thing where the narration box continues from what a character is saying on to the next page. And I think it's Matriarch who has that happening, and it adds a new color to the mix, and I'm like, this is too much. You have too many narrators going on here, too many narration boxes. Yeah, definitely keeping our minds alert, I suppose, because I was starting to pay attention. I was like, wait, this is a slightly different color. Oh, I need to pay attention to these colors because there's multiple narrators, and I need to figure out who's got what attitude and how they kind of clash with each other and so on. But so we get stuff from their childhood, where Lizzie would be visiting Lissa, the matriarch, on Themyscira, and them hanging out as kids, which makes sense because we know that the Amazon was pregnant and had the baby on the Mouse Island, and that's whilst Lizzie was still a baby. So yeah, they're about the same age. They're within a year of each other. So that makes sense. And we also get what they call the middle of the story, which is in the future, which is basically this attempt to assassinate the matriarch because she's gotten too powerful, and it's the Trinity of the time, which is Lizzie, Damien, and John, and the whole plot revolves around the fact that Lex Luthor's gifting the matriarch this sword worth billions of dollars, but he's actually going to double cross the Trinity because he's supposed to be working with them. That's the reveal in his first scene, but then later on he protects the matriarch, and seemingly that gets both John and Damien killed.
Yes. To be clear, this sword is the God Killer sword, which, strangely enough, has its roots all the way back in New 52 Deathstroke. It's just basically a thing that was made by Hephaestus that can kill a god. And so I think it being present here and under matriarch's control is just kind of a show of power sort of thing. Yeah.
But the reveal at the end is that the Trinity were doing all this to trick her and have actually swapped the God Killer sword with a fake, and they actually stole the real one, and the ending reveal is that Lizzie goes back to someone else who's holding it, and it's old Wonder Woman with the grey streak in her hair.
Diana, yep.
That's the big ending.
I love the way it does the reveal where it says, yeah, all right, all that went to plan. John and Damien sacrificed themselves, so this better have worked. But she reveals, Superman, while Lex Luthor was showing off the sword, Superman was able to switch it for a fake, and then Damien just carried out from his cloak. And then if you go back to the first page where Lex is talking about it, you can see in the third panel there's just a couple little swoosh lines to show that that's the exact moment where Superman stole it right under from Lex's nose.
Yeah, it's neat, especially since I think in the moment, even if you notice them, you sort of think, oh, that's just the sound of the sword moving out of the panel, maybe. Yeah. It's like the swoosh.
Yeah, that's him picking up the sword,
yeah. But in hindsight, it makes all this sense. And you know that they're up to something, because when the Trinity are on the rooftop talking before they go over to try and assassinate her, they sort of reminisce and they say, oh, we were babysitters, this, blah, blah, blah. And they all sort of say, oh, I'm going to miss you, and they hug. And it's like, okay, clearly they think this is an ending for them of some sorts, but... So, they agree to go and sacrifice themselves. and Lizzie's, on her own with her mother now. So it feels like a big deal. And the narrators are like, nah, but that's the middle of the story. We have to go back to the start as well. So it seems like we're going to continue this thing for this first arc of this 3-part story. Is we're going to get the childhoods and how Lizzie and Lissa, like, what their friendship and rivalry kind of bloods. Because I assume in that story we're going to see how she becomes the matriarch. Because right now, when we see these flashbacks in Themyscira, they're competitive. They fight a little bit, but it's not like hatred. It's not that yet.
No, but you can see there's this resentment that Matriarch has for Lizzie because of this idea of she's got this whole other world. She's got, Damien and John and her mom and all that stuff, whereas she doesn't believe that she has anything. And so it feels like that's where it's all going to really stem out from. It's going to build from that idea of resentment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a line, I think it's one of the narrators says that Lizzie was born out of love, but Lissa was born out of hate. Like, quite literally, she was a hate baby. Created absolutely. Just purely to be this matriarch, this something that could take on, the heritage of all this evil that's been going for generations and whatnot. So, So, no, I mean, those flashbacks are fun, and I like the build up. The matriarch's got this butler who's kind of like running down,
That's Mouse Man.
Oh, so, do you know what? I never even noticed that was Mouse Man.
Yeah.
I never noticed his teeth.
Because at the end of the thing, end of the conversation, I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, oh, is this in order or whatever? She's like, yes, of course it is. And she's like, oh, well, Mouse Man knows.
Yeah, I noticed the Mouse Man knows, and I thought that was like a reference, but I didn't actually get that he was Mouse Man. It is kind of interesting he's serving her, because the whole thing was him like making everyone serve him, and now he's... And that actually kind of teases the fact that Lex is also going to bow down to her later on, because you wouldn't think of Lex bowing down to anyone, not specifically a woman. Lex is an egomaniac for everyone, but whereas Mouse Man feels specifically misogynist, so it's actually very notable that he is... Like, you don't even really feel bad for him specifically, because you're like, yeah, you know what, you deserve to be treated like shit. You can... Oh, yeah. You could be a servant, that's fine.
Absolutely. I don't know how much of this has been established with Matriarch, but she also, apparently the whole reason that they have to do this whole plan and like try to fake like they're trying to kill her with the God Killer sword is because she has a Green Lantern ring and a Legionnaire's ring. So she's essentially just invulnerable unless she's surprised. Yeah,
she's also killed the Justice League by the sounds of it. She's killed Batman and like Superman, like the OGs before this point. That said though, well, I believe she probably has a Green Lantern ring, the one she's wearing in this is not a Green Lantern ring. There's a twist.
Yes.
That is actually just a kryptonite ring, which I thought was really funny, because when we were doing the Gotham by Gaslight book, and there was literally a debate, is this a Green Lantern ring or just a kryptonite ring? So I thought it was funny that here she actually pulled a little twist that this was a kryptonite ring. But no, I do like the idea that they have to surprise her, because she's got these two rings on that'll just kick in and protect her if anyone tries anything. That said though, I do really like the reveal that they knew they weren't going to kill her, because I was in that page where they're saying, okay, we're going to assassinate this bitch. I was thinking, like, I get that you're selling she's the big bad, but I don't really believe that Damien maybe, but John and Lizzie willing to kill someone, that feels a little bit like, like, unless you're trying to tell me that she's that bad that it has to happen. But even the way they phrase it, it sounds like, oh, it's for vengeance or something. I was like, so I was really glad that, it wasn't actually, like, they never really believed they were going to kill her. It was all about doing the charade so that they could, to make her think she's got the sword.
To be fair, I think that, I don't think John would have been okay with it if it were just like straight up murder. Yeah. Damien, he was dropping people left and right. Like, there were a few guards he was already stabbing through. So yeah, he's willing to do it.
Yeah, Damien I buy. Damien's Damien, right? Like, I get it.
I think it makes sense for Lizzie to kind of be in that in-between ground where she's like, this is my duty. Like, I have to fix this. This comes out of my own wheelhouse. And debating on whether or not she should go that extra length of, like, do I kill her?
Yeah. Like, I mean, Wonder Woman's killed before, but it's not something she does lightly. It's not like she's going around,
Right. But I think it also comes down to the same sort of thing of Wonder Woman with, like, Cheetah. Like, this is Lizzie's childhood friend. This is someone she grew up with. I'm sure she's much more hesitant to do that.
Yeah. But I don't think Lizzie would just... I don't think Lizzie would normally kill, but I think... Well, to be fair, I don't know Lizzie that well to know her, but if I'm speaking about Diana does not go around killing and will typically try and avoid it at all costs, but she has in the past snapped a certain neck, okay? It has happened. in the right context. So it's not like it's a never ever ever rule with her. Whereas Batman and Superman, it feels like no, they never will cross that line because that's just who they are. So but so I appreciated though that this, but the way they were talking about it was so cavalier. It didn't feel like things have reached a point where I believe they're willing to cross this line. For some of them anyway. Again, Damien, maybe he's more willing to, but right. So I was glad that it wasn't just, that's what it is. Like, it wasn't what it was at face value. So that made sense to me. I also really like in that scene where she's the matriarch's talking to Mouseman, the butler, is that they build up and it's like we're seeing her from behind, and then when she puts on her outfit, we get that over the shoulder shot. It felt like a big reveal. It made her feel like a big deal. Like, she is like the main villain of this story. It feels like a big character that we're proud to show off and say, no, she is the big deal here. Yeah, no, absolutely. I also like how, it shows her bareback and she's got like scars and cuts and stuff like that. So it's obvious she didn't have just like, she's not so good at fighting or so pristine or whatever that she's not able to get a few hits in from her past, but she's refined herself now to where everyone fears her. Yep. So, no. Enjoyed all this stuff and the way it played out. I think personally my only like little thing is I was so much more invested in the I'm going to call it modern stuff, but the future, the stuff that's the adult stuff. The adult stuff. I'm so much more invested in that whenever we cut back to the kids and showing how they develop, it feels so, I wouldn't say unnecessary, but it doesn't have as much of a point as the main story, that it does just feel a little bit like filler to an extent. I suspect that in future issues there probably will be some really important stuff in the kids section, and this is just establishing that we're going to be doing that. We're going to be consistently having this part of the timeline. It's just in this one, all the more interesting stuff's absolutely in the adult part of the story, and this is just kind of like, hey, they're friends and they spend summers together on Themyscira, but I'm sure there'll be like falling outs. I'm sure we'll see like her turn to the dark side, if you will. Oh, yeah. We're gonna see whatever like the unforgivable thing was, whatever the thing that sent them down these different paths, and they're never gonna be able to reconcile. Yeah, so excited to see that. And I think the big reveal of Wonder Woman being alive and like sort of being like the partner with Lizzie at the end is a cool reveal, because up until this point, everything that we've seen from the future of Lizzie speaking to the Monarch, or like everything we've seen, it's all been without Diana, and it's led to this natural speculation of, is she even around? Is she gone? Is she dead? Is this So it actually felt like a big thing where she walks in and Diana's there, and it's like, no, she's working with her daughter. Like, she's not on her own here. She's got Wonder Woman by her side. So the cover of this one, which kind of promises them kind of together fighting side by side, is kind of actually not a lie. It's like, no, this feels like this is what it is. Like, they're going to wage war together as a pair. So yeah, no, it's interesting stuff. And obviously I expect they're going to like erase this future somehow. Otherwise this is effectively going into Elseworld territory if it's not kind of like fixed by the end. But that's just something you kind of accept when we're doing future stories, I guess. Yeah. It's always going to be, this is going to happen next year, but we're never going to get to next year. It's always just down the road. Yeah. Well, because when you say like, oh, like this woman killed like Superman, Batman, and all the Justice League, it's like, well, like it's a bit much to sort of just accept that, or expect that to be accepted as like the future canon. Is like that's always going to happen. So yeah, you can't have every single writer be like, well, I guess Superman died in 2030. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Obviously, Daniel Sampere's art is fantastic. Throughout this, that final page in particular is great. The full page spread of Wonder Woman, but throughout it's I think they do a neat job here of making the big moments, the big splash pages feel big and epic, making characters feel larger than life. Action's cool, old Lex Luthor's cool. I mean, and I appreciate that they go for a slightly more muted color tone for the childhood stuff. They go for kind of like, there's still like some popping vibrant colors in their outfits, but like all of the like the faces and the backgrounds and the hair and all that feel a bit more just muted to make it feel like we're in the past. It's just a simple little thing, but it works. Yeah. So. No, it's the gutters specifically. Like the gutters are more washed out than the main story stuff is, and gives it that different vibe. Yeah, because the main story has like the black and the gutters, right? So it feels a bit more contrasty and whatnot, whereas the flashbacks feel a little bit more, I don't know. It's like, again, it's not even like it has like that different coloring where you're like, but it almost gives the impression of it being more watercolored, even though it isn't.
Right.
So, no, the art's fantastic, as it always is in this book. Like, I mean, Sampere's art's been great since issue 1. So, no,
I don't know how long the plan is for like Tom King's run on this, but I hope Sampere can stick around for like the whole length of it.
Sure.
I hope that's something that can stay consistent.
And I think they've intentionally taken that issue or two off every so often to maintain all the main story. It does have this level of consistency. At the very least, that we know this is a trilogy of arcs, so I suspect that'll at least we'll get to the end of that, and maybe that'll be the end of the run at that point, or maybe there'll be a third trilogy. But
being at issue, what are we at now? 31. And knowing that the Solicits said that end of Act 1 is issue like 34, so I would imagine that we can at least get to issue 50.
Yeah. I would maybe even guess that issue 50 will be the finale of Act 3 of this story,
possible.
give or take. Yeah.
I mean, I'm if 50 is the end of like the Wonder War and he wants to call the series there, give it to someone else, so be it. But I'm curious to see what else he's got under his belt past that.
Yeah, maybe he does have like another like chapter that he wants to do after that. But I mean, it would also make sense though if this is like this 3-part thing is the end of this all, because by the time we get to 50, that's 50 issues. Take out a couple of fill-ins.
Right.
So
yeah,
cool. What are you giving Wonder Woman issue 31?
I'm gonna say this is an 8. I think it's a very well crafted issue, even if the flashback stuff was a little bit weaker for me. The rest of it just really stepped up, and I appreciated enough of it that it got me into what the Wonder War is really going to be here. Yeah,
I mean, I think it achieved in getting me excited for this arc, which is obviously its main goal, and gave me a couple of nice swerves along the way, which worked as well. So I'm going to go with an 8.5. I'm not going to quite say it's amazing, so I won't go with the 9, but I'll give it the 8.5. Mainly just like, well, I kind of enjoy the mystery of who the narrators are. It maybe was like I had to really think about it towards the end to realize, oh yeah, there's been like 3. Because I'll be honest, I think it switched colors at one point and I didn't notice, so I just thought it was one narrator for like half the book. And then when I noticed it switched colors again, I went, wait, is it been one color this whole time? And I went back. So that little bit of confusion just gets it down a little half point at the very least for me. So 8.5. All right. Absolute Flash, issue 13, Jeff Lemire writing with Haining on the art. And this was a very interesting issue of Absolute Flash, I thought, because it was probably the most straightforward and conventional issue of Absolute Flash.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't really been keeping up that much on Absolute Flash. I reread back to what I needed to since the last time I was on the show, which is also one I had to cover. But I don't know, it's always been this thing where it felt like it was... It had in mind the story it wanted to tell, and maybe it was just stretched a bit too long. I think that was kind of the thing that was really holding it back there. This issue, picking this one up, it felt very well paced. I appreciated all the stuff going on here. Obviously, we get introduced to a new major threat picking up at the end of this issue, but overall, I was super into this issue compared to previous ones.
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit. I think for me, and I was hoping for this with what they set up at the end of the last one with them going back to the Dibney shelter, is that I really liked when they did that one issue where it was like, hey, he's at the shelter and here's Linda, there's a little bit of chemistry, and I was like, oh, I like the idea of them building up the supporting cast, and then they kind of ditched it immediately. And don't get me wrong, they did some fun stuff with the rogues after that, and I'm glad that they built up the rogues and they feel fleshed out now. But I was really happy to go back and maybe flesh out these other supporting characters and actually give them like people that you can confide in. So this issue largely revolving around Linda, and Linda like saying, hey, I know you're this guy who's got super speed. I got footage of you in my phone when you were fighting that thing last time you were here. Like their relationship and her kind of been into it and wanting to like help him and like uncover like where his dad might be and like testing his powers out, riding piggyback and freaking out about how it feels. Like all that I thought was just very delightful. I like them building up this relationship. And just, I think her general attitude and personality was really giving him someone to bounce off of, which I think is something that he's been missing for a lot of this book, is that he's not had someone to bounce off of that isn't like kind of an antagonist. Even though the rogues kind of became allies, which is nice, he's not really had a friend. He's not really had someone, or a love interest even in this case, where he's been able to interact that way with anyone.
Yeah, I also really appreciate the fact that it goes in deeper of like, why is she at the shelter? Like, what happened to give her this history as well? And, you know, obviously, while he's not in a good place right now, he's very much more emotional. He's got a lot more baggage on him now. And I think what really works here is the fact that while they are both in this sort of negative situation, they're able to relate to each other there. She's so much more optimistic. She's so much more of like, hey, we can do something. Let's get out there. Let's like try to explore this a bit more. And it just works as a counterpoint. Like it really sells their relationship just from a yin yang sort of perspective.
Yeah, and it fleshes out her backstory. We see that she was taking care of her dad, who was a drunk, and then presumably he maybe passed away, and that's why she's here. Or maybe she ran away because it was a toxic environment. You know, and he talks about his dad and how he was kind of taking care of him almost taking care of his mum, before she seemingly killed herself. And that's, you know, so there's kind of like a bit of bonding over like taking care of a parent aspect. They specifically say that she was bipolar and that she, you know, she wasn't so good about taking her meds, and he feels guilty about not like staying on her about that stuff. My only thing that I just want to put in the sand right now, I hope that stays normal, average human stuff. I don't want that to relate to some speed force or anything else. That needs to stay as human as humanly possible. Oh no, I agree. I don't want them ever to somehow bring his mum back and like reveal something or anything. Like just have it be a traditional like real life. She had bipolar disorder and that's it. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So no, I like that bonding. Also, Ralph gets a little bit of a nice moment where, and they tease something here as well, where Ralph's like, "Hey, like after you were here last time, you know, some suits came around and asked us a bunch of questions, and this guy gave me this card, and I was to call him if he ever came back. And we see the card, and it says DEO, which okay, we're doing the DEO in the Absolute Universe. That's cool, right? I like seeing that. But the name of the agent was particularly notable." Agent Hunter Zolomon.
I don't understand, Peter. Is this some sort of reference to something I don't understand?
Well, you see, you know how we had Thawne, and Eobard Thawne is the Reverse Flash, or also sometimes referred to as Professor Zoom. That was Barry's arch nemesis. Hunter Zolomon kind of became Wally's Reverse Flash. And so very interesting name to drop like that as a little tease. Very, very interesting. But Ralph, what I was getting to is he rips it up and says, no, like I'm not going to rat you out. Like when you're here, you've got a home here. I want to help you, blah, blah, blah. So he looks like a nice guy coming out of this. But like I said, most of this issue is Linda teasing Wally, revealing she knows about him, and getting into the nitty gritty, making fun of his outfit a little bit, which I actually... one I was thinking, are they teasing that maybe he'll get like a slightly more traditional outfit because she's going to like sort of like come in and try and like, you know, make it a bit more sleek or fix up or whatever. I don't know if they're going to do that. It may actually just be set up for a payoff that came later, which I actually really liked without them drawing attention to it. Is that in the later scene when they're going back to the military base / lab to investigate like where his dad might have went, she's just wearing his jacket, like his Flash jacket. Right, and he's not wearing it. And I thought that was just such a nice little visual touch of like, we're not going to call it out, we're not going to do a scene where like he gives it to her, we're just going to have her wearing it, and it already builds up this idea of how casual and like close they're already starting to feel because she's wearing his jacket. I just thought it was a really neat little touch. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's just this tiny little cuteness to it, this tiny little thing of like, yeah, you know, the boyfriend giving the girlfriend the jacket, whatever. Don't need to make a big deal out of it. Yeah. I will say on the art though, like they maybe go a little bit too far with how big her eyes are. She's got the big like manga eyes, which I'm like, you know what, it's working for the cutesiness to an extent, but it's maybe just a little over the top. There's one or two shots where it's just extremely out of place, like it just feels too big. But yeah, I like the character design more than I dislike it, even with the big eyes. I think that it works for the most part. The other part of it is I don't even know that much about Linda from the main universe, but they established that this Linda, her whole thing is she can be the man in the chair. Like she's good with computers. That's apparently her thing. Yeah, that's not her thing in the main universe. Yeah. She's a reporter in the main universe, if I recall correctly. So yeah, they're going to do a little bit of man in the chair with her, which is, something different. I like the running joke here as well of like her being like, oh, like, can I steal your fries? And he's like, wait, I'm the one who's burning like unnatural amount of calories with doing all the running. And she's like, don't fry shame me. That's a funny joke. I'm into it.
I'd love that to be just a recurring thing throughout their relationship, is like he eats these massive amounts because of the Flash, but she's also able to keep up. And he's like, where does it go? What is happening?
How are you not like a mountain? Like, what's happening right now?
Exactly.
But no, it's a funny joke, and it's like, hey, let's go and try and like find your dad. Like, if he's out there, if he's in this still point place, then let's try and figure it out. So they're being proactive, which I like, and because this isn't like darting around and it's not doing the running from the rogues or Thawne in the lab, and we're not doing that thing where his mind's frazzled so he's jumping around mentally. I like how linear this plays out, and that they come up with a plan. Okay, let's find the dad. His new friend now wants to help him, which endears them as friends, right, and possibly romantic partners. It just everything flows really well here in a way that I think is really nice. And then of course the ending kind of sets up what our villain's going to be. Now, we did tease this in a previous issue that there was going to be a Mirror Master, but this is the attack. This is the, getting involved.
So I double checked on that. That was actually at the end of the first issue, the very first issue. They had the, it was a 1 year later time skip, and then it showed Mirror Master coming out of in like this wreckage in this whatever. And obviously back then we had no idea what was happening, but last issue said end of year 1. So the fact that like, okay, they're at this wreckage, all this stuff, Mirror Master shown up, it feels like, okay, there has been a long plan here. There has been a thing where they've been really building up to this.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we also got a tease that this Mirror Master met the regular Mirror Master, right? That was in Absolute Evil.
That was in just before DCKO. I think, it might have been Absolute Evil.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, this is the first time like two versions from these two universes have met is the mirror, but it made sense because Mirror Master maybe can jump between because of the mirror stuff. But
mirror dimensions is somehow linked on that side, whatever.
Yeah, anyway, so they see in the reflection, it's kind of weird, there's like duplicates of them, and then like it's like Linda gets trapped in the mirror, so he jumps in, and they're in the mirrors with this version of Mirror Master, and that's kind of the big cliffhanger. And it says part 1 of 2 for this, so going to be a nice tight story seemingly of them dealing with Mirror Master. I really like this issue, and I love that it spent 90% just doing the relationship stuff, like, because like I like the tease of it back when we first seen her, right, when it was lunchtime or whatever it was back in issue 5 or 6. But I think this was like, no, we're going to spend time with them, we're going to do this right so that when she is in trouble we care a bit more, and it feels like they've actually bonded, and it feels like they actually have chemistry. Yeah, I really appreciate
absolutely. that. And again, even obviously most of the issue is spent with Linda, but even the Disney stuff, I think that it does a good job of having a stripped down cast. We don't have to deal with Grodd. We don't have to deal with the rogues, any of the family stuff. We're able to just take these two, give them a page or two, and say, they're on Wally's side. We know that we can rely on them moving forward.
Yeah. Building a supporting cast. I really like that. If anything, I would have liked it a little bit sooner. But hey, you know what? This is not that late either, all things considered. So, it's a good time. Like I say, they are here by Haining, who is a new artist on the book. This is not the artist who was on previous issues. I do think it's mostly pleasant. I think it like I say, it's a little bit manga in the faces for my taste, especially on Linda. But I will say that despite that, it does kind of fit the vibe and the energy that I think the characters are supposed to have at any given time. So it's not failing to elicit the response that it's supposed to elicit. It's just maybe not my preferred style in terms of actual drawing.
No, that's fair. I mean, again, we mentioned the big eye stuff. That's very manga in that sort of way. But even down to like the different color schemes and stuff like that, it's very heavy blues when they go back to Ford Fox and they're outside at night, and then it's greens once they go into the bathroom where Mirror Master is. So I think it does a good job of really playing with that sort of color scheme that the other book had, or the other artist had the whole way through.
Yeah, and it's all very straightforward boxes and rectangles, panels like you'd expect. Aside from when he's running with her on his back at super speed, and it's angles to give the sense of motion, which is fun because she's yelling stop, which is just funny seeing her be scared because he's moving too fast. And then the other exception to that is at the end, when they go into the mirror, all of a sudden the panels start becoming weird shapes and they're falling at angles because they're they're representing the glass shattering and all that, the disorientation. Yeah. So,
the very first page is also a dream sequence, and that's also in a slightly different way. So obviously, anytime they break the panels, it is for something more superpowered, something more spectacular than just him walking around with Linda.
Yeah, but it's vast majority of it is regular, just box panels, but that makes when they don't do that, stand out more. It has more impact because it has been so typical up until that point. So, no, really solid stuff. Really like this issue. It's probably in my top 2 or 3 issues of this book. Right? I don't know if it's quite my favorite. I really like the one where the rogues actually sort of like come after Wally, the one that sort of started with the tease of the weather changing and all that, because there was a lot of atmosphere in that issue. But this is probably the best issue from a character perspective for me out of the book.
No, I'd agree. I mean, I think the last one I was on was when they went to the Dibney house in the first place. That was when I was last on the show. Yeah. But no, I reread the Thawne issues just to be caught up for this, and I couldn't get into that Thawne 2-parter. Like, neither of those were really working for me. It was all too hectic. There was too much going on.
We were pretty critical of the lot. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I think the last issue just felt like a bit of an anticlimax. Like, it didn't feel like the Thawne monster did that much before he was defeated.
Mm-hmm. No, it feels like they were limited by the fact of, I said I'd get to Mirror Master end of year 1. I have to wrap this up at issue 12. Like, that is how that has to happen. So yeah, I also appreciate this. And as much as it is continuing on the story, because he sits down and talks to Linda, and even stuff that Dibney gives as well, I think it is also a good jumping on point as well. I think it does a good job of saying, like, look, if you didn't stick around the previous arc, here's the bare basics you need to know. You should go back and read it, but you don't have to.
Yep. But yeah, that is the absolute Flash 13. What are you giving it?
I think I'm going to settle down on a 7.5. I think I probably could have given it an 8 if I was just like really, really hard into the art, but story-wise, I think it did everything it needed to do properly here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it the 8. I think I'm just really into what the character stuff was doing. And if the art was even more my thing, it might have even bumped up another half point or so. But no, good stuff though. Absolute Flash 13. Nightwing 136, Legacy number 323. Dan Waters writing with Dennis Cowan on the art. So yeah, new artist on this arc as well. Which, to be fair, I mean, this does have a slightly different tone, and sometimes that can help with a new art change to sort of get the tone across you want. So we have a new mayor in Bloodhaven, which Nightwing talks about in his narration. And the big thing is that quite quickly he seems to have built this super highway that runs through the middle of the city. And we get some panels of this, sort of some bird's eye view. So this is like an interesting issue where, like, Nightwing's explaining all this. He's getting into a car, right? He's got like a Nightwing mobile, if you will. And
I'm glad you called it. That was exactly what I was going to call it.
And he's like driving, and he basically says, "Oh, like this replaced a bunch of like good pedestrian walkways in the middle of the city, and now you can't walk there anymore." And it's this, just like a spider's web of like, high speed roads, and like 30-something people have already died, and he's been hearing rumors, right? That's what he says. So at this point in the issue, I was thinking, okay, I like that they're doing something different, and they're setting up this new villainous mayor that they teased at the end of last issue. And, I'm enjoying the vibes, but I was like, okay, but what are we actually doing here in terms of story? I wasn't sure what it was yet. And then it kind of like unfolds a bit more, and like Nightwing sees this like very disheveled woman kind of wandering in the middle of the highway and says, "Hey, get in! You're going to get hurt out here or whatever." And she gets in, and that's when he starts to reveal that some of it's dialogue with her and some of it's narration, but it talks about how this truck driver like picked up a woman who looked like she was in trouble, but she kept talking about witches and then tried to kill him, and he ended up being okay. He was able to fight her off, but it turns out that this is this woman. And that we're doing some kind of witch story where this woman, maybe there's more than one, but certainly this one, is haunting the crossing of all these highways, because the legend is that witches in Bloodhaven used to get killed and buried in unmarked graves in the crossroads. And it's kind of this thing where they're seeking some kind of vengeance now. I'm like,
I am willing to put money down that this is a thing of like, we built over the ancient burial grounds that were not meant to be disturbed, and this is like the ghost or whatever coming back.
Very possibly. I'm not even that fussed about the reason. For me, I was just kind of into like the vibes, and I was kind of into kind of the horror story aspect to it, and I really liked that about the last like big arc that he did. All the Dani stuff, I liked the horror movie stuff of that as well. But this feels like it's sort of like inching more towards a slightly different genre of horror.
It felt so weird to me because obviously the story starts and they're like, oh yeah, they built this super highway, whatever like that, and then Dick gets in the car and like you're expecting it to be this high octane, like speeding up and down the highway, the way the Batmobile is used, like it's dodging, weaving through traffic and all that. No, he's stuck in traffic. He's just sitting there looking at brake lights because this highway sucks. And the whole horror aspect from the book is Nightwing starting this conversation with her, treating her like she's, you know, having a mental breakdown and she just needs like some professional help or something. And then more and more gets revealed. And it still doesn't quite get to the point where it's like, okay, this is, you know, some eldritch Stephen King-esque like horror from beyond the grave or whatever. It's still him trying to help her, but she just causes this intense accident that kills so many people. And that's where the horror really drives from.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's good for Nightwing as a character that he's trying to help her. Like, he thinks this is a woman who's having a breakdown, and he's saying, oh, are you okay? Like, are you confused? You know, that kind of thing. And she pulls out this like ceremonial knife or whatever and like starts to try to stab him, and he has to kind of fight her off. And like you said, he ends up veering off the road, and like he builds it up in the narration. Like the writing here does a good job of like sort of setting up to how bad this is about to be, because Nightwing's talking about it in hindsight, where he's saying, oh, I've went over that moment like in my head like every day since, and it
took 9 seconds. I counted it out.
And is there any way that I could have had this result in anything different? And he's like, no, I don't think there is. I think no matter what happened, this was going to result in the same accident. And it's this pile up where a bunch of cars like crash into his, and I love the coloring where she pulls out the knife. We get almost this red tint on some of the panels of her and the knife, so it makes her feel like she is some kind of demonic witch of some kind. And when she's telling the backstory and we're seeing the silhouette of the hanging witches from the tree and all that, like it was giving me the vibes that I was like super into. And Cowan's art's so different from Soy's that it does feel distinctly more gothic, I guess, in comparison.
It's got a scratchy grittiness to it. It's very, very much, I mean, when we were talking about Solicits, there was like a horror-esque cover there that looked like an old horror VHS. It's got that kind of vibe to it.
So yeah, it causes this 2-page layout where the car veers and all these crashes start happening in these panels, and you see in the next page just how many cars seemingly have all collided, and there's just fire everywhere. And there's a great panel of Nightwing punching through the windshield to get out of the car that he's in. Because well, I call it the Nightwing mobile. It's just a car. It's just like a normal car. Right. And he gets out and he's a little bit bloody, and he's trying to find if there's any survivors, and he pulls one guy out of a car, and it's whatever, but he tries to find her. He's like, okay, that woman might still be in there, but she's gone. And it's kind of like open to interpretation here. Like, is it because she's supernatural and just vanished, or is it because this woman was just able to get away and she's like wandering somewhere else now? So open to you know. So yeah, the book sort of ends with him looking in the reflection, and it goes all tinted red, and he's like sort of like enraged, and her hair is almost like Medusa like in this reflection in the puddle. It's all sort of spread out. So yeah, and he ends with him saying, this is all my fault. So I love the name of this arc. It's called Bloodhaven Lore is the name of the arc. And I think it's a cool, it's like, because it's almost like when Snyder did like Gates of Gotham and stuff like that, and did Court of Owls even, and sort of like, there's all this history to Gotham. I love this idea that Bloodhaven's got like a Salem, the witch trials kind of past, and other stuff from its like ancient history that's going to start to find its way into the lore.
I do wonder, though, is this going to be focused on this witch character, or is this going to be like an anthology sort of thing where like we get different aspects? Because that Bloodhaven lore implies much larger than just, here's some witches from the city's past or whatever.
Oh, sure.
And this story does kind of feel like it wraps that up of saying like, was this actually real? Is there an actual like ghost of a witch in this town or something like that? I can
see it moving on, but then it kind of wraps it back in like later down the arc. I could see that.
Yeah, I could see it.
You know, maybe all of this stuff, like, because maybe this villain is intentionally trying to like raise demons, like raise these ghosts from the past, or like, I don't know, maybe that's like an intentional thing, or maybe it's just a byproduct of the evil shit that he's doing. Like, I mean, I don't know, we'll find out.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously we have the idea that Bloodhaven was raised, like there was the whole earthquake and all that stuff that knocked down a whole bunch of stuff. And well, the idea...
Technically not an earthquake, but I get why they would call it that, because they wouldn't know what else to call it.
Yeah, exactly. But I like this idea that, okay, you know, we're rebuilding. We're building new. We're building bigger. Obviously, this highway is not like a good thing inherently, but I like this idea of building new, and all this stuff building on top of the old brings back out the old. We are forced to deal with the Bloodhaven's history that was kind of shaken loose from all of that.
Yeah, I love that how much of a new chapter this feels, but it's still Water's Run. And just this idea that we're, again, building up the idea of the city and the mystique and the atmosphere of the city that's now changed somewhat. And it feels that Nightwing's in kind of this darker story. I'm kind of into it. Yeah. You know, it's good stuff. And I could see him tackling all sorts of different stories with this. But yeah, no. I really like this. And like I said, Cowan's art is very suited for the vibe that this seems to have switched to with this issue. Very pleased with it.
I love the art style on this. It's fantastic. And even just like I don't know if I give it my art of the week. I'm still up in the air on that, but that moment when it gets to the like, she pulls the wheel, it starts this pile up, and just the double page spread on that of showing the building chaos is such good pacing, both from writing and art.
And I love how heavy the moment feels, because it's like, oh yeah, people definitely just died, right? Nightwing will save as many as he can that have survived the actual impact, but some of those drivers are absolutely dead, and there's nothing he can do about it. So it feels dark because like people just died on his watch, effectively. Yeah. So no, it's good stuff. It has weight, and the atmosphere is just killer. There's like an ethereal lore quality to it that I'm really into. So. All right, what are you giving Nightwing?
I was bounced between a 7.5 and an 8. I think I'll give it the 8. I think it's definitely up at that level where I can see this being the dark patterns of Nightwing. I could see this being the sort of like, okay, let's just take a little bit of time on each of these creepier gothic stories that we can do and just really making it something special.
Yeah, you're a tough crowd. Like, I thought you were going to go higher than that, because I'm going 9. I thought this was great.
Ooh, yeah.
This was fantastic. Waters has been killing it on Nightwing, and he somehow shifted to a new arc, and it's still killer. So, excellent. Batwoman, issue 1, Greg Rucka, writing with Dani on art. So this is the first of our number ones for the week. Got a whole slate of them here. And this was obviously anticipated, because it's Greg Rucka returning to Kate Kane after almost 20 years. Like, I mean, not quite, but it's getting close to that, and it feels like a big coming home party in a lot of ways. So I'll get my negative out the way first, because I do have one. Right.
Same.
I'm not big on Dani's art. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. I think it works a little bit better when we get to some of like the flashback stuff, when we get to the Alice stuff. It's a little better there, but for the sitting in a room and talking sort of aspects of it, it really was just like, nah, this is not working.
Yeah, just not really my thing. But it's an interest. So like, Kate's in therapy, right? Seemingly she is suicidal, and she is talking about her sister. And, you know, I said this when this was solicited, that, you know, like, I normally would roll my eyes if a new Batwoman book is announced and they start talking about, oh, we're going to do stuff with her sister. But this gets a pass, because this is Rucka returning to actually finish the story that he presumably wanted to tell when he set all this stuff up. It's not his fault they've been redoing, like, oh, Alice comes after Batwoman again in the last 15 years. It's not his fault.
Yeah, I actually looked it up. I was curious, okay, when was, because Kate's been around, but when was the last time we actually had Alice? Like, when was that a thing? And obviously they did in the New 52 run immediately following. Then we went to the Rebirth run. Yeah. Sorry, what?
Yeah, she was in the Rebirth Batgirl book, right?
Yeah, she was in that. It was towards closer to the tail end, so like it wasn't something they immediately led off with, but it was somewhere in the middle there. And then nothing. She's been missing ever since then. So it has been a good 7-8 years since we've dealt with any of this stuff. But I think it's because it just keeps coming up.
Right. You're completely missing the point there, though. She's not been around because Batwoman's not had a book in that time. Is this irrelevant?
Yeah.
That time gap is irrelevant. The last time Batwoman had a book, it ended with Alice being the main villain.
Correct. Yes, I'll give you that. It absolutely has been that. And to double down on top of that, they keep on releasing the Pride books. And every time they release a Pride book with Batwoman in it, it talks about the sister. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Alice is her perils hitting the alley floor is effectively what we're saying here. But like I said, I'm cool with Rucka doing it because it's him going back and actually finishing what he probably in some way. I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff here and I don't remember Elegy that well, which is probably a bit of a hindrance, honestly, because I feel like this is actually drawing on things like the crime cult aspect. They were definitely a thing in Elegy, I'm sure, and I don't really remember them that well. So
the Fist of Cain and all that, they were definitely, that was a big thing that was introduced there. However, part of what they are doing with these flashbacks to what I guess is the night that Alice quote unquote died is she's talking about dark side. She's talking about anti-energy and stuff like that. So it also feels like it's been modernized, it's fitting in the current realm of things.
They've changed it so the cult now believes in the anti-life, which is obviously just tying into what's going on with dark side right now, which is fine. So yeah, but so seemingly Alice right now seems to be gone. They fought and they had kind of a raking back fall style thing.
I'm glad you made that. I was thinking that same thing. This is Sherlock Holmes, right? Yeah. This is what we're doing.
Right. Because we see this sort of play out in flashbacks where there's not a lot of context for it, but we see Batwoman, going after the cult and getting to her, and she goes over the edge, kind of thing. And, Kate's very cynical here. She's very depressed and she doesn't really believe in much hope, and all the rest of it. But we see that the cult is still very much we want to ascend, we want to have our chosen one, and okay, we've lost Alice, at least for now, but they're twins, there is another, right? We can go after Kate Kane, she can be our vessel or whatever you want to call it. And just as they're planning this, we get kind of Kate shining a giant Batwoman symbol onto their big window and being come get me, you assholes. So she's going after them. I'm a little bit unsure about what the timeline is here. Is she still in therapy when, is this happy at the same time? So she's been in therapy that day, and then, that night she's being Batwoman? That doesn't seem right, because it feels like it doesn't quite fit to me, if that's what we're doing.
That's fair. I wasn't even considering that. I thought it was the therapy thing, and then just by context of the book, I thought we were
in the past
moving, we were still in that therapy section during this other stuff. So I don't know. It could be either way. Yeah.
Which is basically my way of saying that I think this first issue is just okay. And it's not made me less excited for the book going forward. I still think it's probably going to be great. But I think this first issue spent a lot of time recounting who Kate and her sister are so that new readers would know. And I feel like the timeline of the events here, especially the ending, along with the therapy stuff, I'm a little unclear on. So that uncertainty has left me feeling a little bit miffed or lukewarm about what's currently going on right now. But Rucka's a great writer. I am very positive that very quickly in the next issues that I'm probably going to be super into what's happening here.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different. Obviously, when Rucka was on Wonder Woman, he went back and redid the origin again. But that was because there was so much haziness with Wonder Woman's origin. There was so much that has been altered and changed and whatever. You need to go back. You need to say, here's specifically what happened. Batwoman hasn't changed that much. Everything that we know in this has been what has always been true for Batwoman. And the fact that they're saying, we fought to the death and she actually definitively died, that I feel like is the only thing that is changed. And the fact that she's definitively died is absolutely BS. Of course she's coming back later on. There's no way they're not. But I can appreciate that we need to take an issue to sit down and tell the audience, here's what this is. You need to be aware of the status quo. And then next issue after that, we'll start building it up. We'll say, okay, Fist of Cain, what are we doing with them? How is Batwoman related? What's the actual plan going on here? Yeah. If anything, I'd say this is more of a 0 issue than an issue 1.
Yeah, I can see that. And I also, because I was actually kind of interested when they started talking about going after Kate. I was like, because did they mention her being in a hospital?
Maybe.
I think they might.
Which is why it made sense that it was set like after that period. Our agent within the sanatorium has confirmed this. She is within our grasp. Yeah.
Yeah. So that made me think, so this is going on. Because I was actually getting kind of excited about the idea that they were going to come to the hospital to try and get her when she's in that condition. And it would kind of like maybe like, I don't know, either reignite her spark and she'd have to fight like as a patient in the hospital kind of thing. So I was very surprised when they did the whole Batman thing at the end of her shining the symbol on the window. Like, oh, she's actually here to hunt them down. And therefore, like, so is all the therapy stuff just like a lie? Is she actually in therapy for real? Is she, you know, it left me feeling a little bit weird about the context of the therapy and like how it lines up with the story she's doing here at the end.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm sure it's going to play out. It's going to say how much of it is real over the course of it. It might have all just been a ruse to lure out the Fist of Cain, to like get the guy on the inside and like follow him. She's
making herself look weak so they'll think she's vulnerable and then come after them kind of thing.
Yeah. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if the next issue picks up with her crashing through that glass. Like, it's just as an immediate pickup.
Because I was taking her depression and what she was saying as truth, and it made me think, oh, she's lost her mojo effectively, and she's not like, which is why I was so surprised her to show up in outfit at the end, because I thought, oh, like you're not in the mental state to be Batwoman right now. It feels like you're struggling, but then you know, triumphant, come get me.
Yeah, it could also be an entire ruse of like, okay, Alice, you've gotten in too deep with this Fist of Cain people. I'm going to fake your death and then deal with them. Like, maybe we're going that route.
Yeah, maybe we're doing some mix of stuff. Yeah. Or do we do some insane plot twist where Alice has become Batwoman and Kate's the one in therapy?
I would be intrigued as to how they could do those gymnastics, but I'm into it.
Because I mean, to be fair, it is a wig. It's always been a wig, the red hair, and they are twins, so it's not like it would look. I mean, from a comic book art, we wouldn't be able to tell anyway. But even from the in-universe, it would be pretty convincing, right?
Yeah, she is a twin.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's things here like they might be doing if they are going more twisty turny, but I don't know if I'm assuming they're going twisty turny just because I thought this issue was a little unclear for a couple of things, and I'm trying to spice it up in my own mind in a lot of ways, which is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be curious to pick this up immediately after reading Rucka's detective run, like reading Elegy, reading those couple extra issues, and then going into this and seeing if it is something that flows a bit more naturally, or if we do want to have the intervening 15, 20 years in mind when we do it.
Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, I think the end result here, though, is that this first issue is not some like because when I read the first issue of Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League, that was like, oh shit, it's so great to have Rucka back. This is a phenomenal first issue. I don't think this is a phenomenal first issue. I think this is an okay first issue that like feels like we're not quite at the peak of what we could be doing here. And I'm just hoping that that's just because he's setting the table and he wants to like reestablish some things before we get to the real good stuff. And that might be the case. So I'm hoping that, you know, I'm coming out of issue 2 a bit more positive than I am this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what were you giving Batwoman?
Between the art and the kind of questionable with the writing and all that, I think I'm going to max out at a 6.5.
That is exactly the score I was thinking, 6.5. Like, I'm not going to quite call it good because I've just got enough mixed feelings but there's still, you know, there's good character moments, there's good, you know, dialogue in there and things like that. It's not all, and it's not like the art's horrible. Like some, you know, the big stuff where it's all red and black at the end does fit better with the art style. It's just most of it I don't think I like as much. So 6.5 for me. Lobo issue 1, Skottie Young writing with Jorge Carona on the art. So like,
Pete, I am so interested in your opinions on this book.
Well, let's be honest here, right? This was definitely the one that I was least excited for because I'm not that thrilled about the idea of Lobo as a character, right? He can pop in as a bit of comic relief as a side character, maybe a little bit, but even then, I'm not that excited to see him, if I'm honest. So, a Lobo book is not exactly on my short list of must-wants. Skottie Young, I read a little bit of the Rocket Raccoon series he did at Marvel, and I quite liked that. And I think he did the art on that as well, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think he's more predominantly known as an artist, but yeah.
And I actually quite like his art on that book. I thought it really fit the what it was. Which, and Jorge Carona isn't like wildly different in style, right? There's a difference. I would say that I like Skottie Young's art a little bit better than his, but it's definitely kind of like a similar tone of art. Like, it doesn't feel like it's wildly out of place with what he's doing here. So the art's solid. The art is perfectly solid. It's definitely a lot of details, maybe a bit messy in places intentionally to give that feeling of chaos, but it's very colorful, very bright. All that's fine. The actual book, though, I think if you like Lobo acting like Lobo, then you probably get something here. The plot of this, ultimately by the end, because most of it's just, he goes to do a bounty job to kill someone, then the bounty gets cancelled, and he goes to get paid from the people who have bought his, like, the company that usually pays him for bounties. He's going to get like a no-kill fee, and it turns out this giant conglomerate has purchased all of the bounty hunter business, and they want Lobo to star in a new reality TV show about a bounty hunter because anti-heroes are in. So it's got a little bit of a meta thing going on there. There's like a weird reference at one point on like the fake movie that someone's watching where they do it's not quite Did I Do That, but it's like very close to that.
Yeah. No, this entire book is the Deadpool-esque leaning on the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It's all the like the video, the movie that they're talking about is, let me see if I can find the exact name, Murder Mouth and Fisty Claws. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And they keep on talking. I think they're saying that like the company that made it is like Galactic Rat Pictures or something, supposed to be Disney. Like, and then by the time you get to the end of it, the conglomerate that bought up all this stuff, I don't know where in the writing process this was supposed to take place, but it feels like they're making fun of Paramount Plus. It feels like they're making fun of like the acquisitions of like, Lobo, we've bought the ownership of you, and now you have to do the things we tell you to do. It's very fourth wall-y, and I appreciate that to an extent. I think that there are some cool stories that could be told in that. It feels very Keith Giffen. Like, that's obviously where Lobo's like ancestral home is, so it feels very much up that line. But it still feels very much of, okay, let's recap Lobo, let's like walk through his history of like where he's been, and let's just make as many references as humanly possible.
Yeah, I don't really like it all that much. I mean, like, I appreciate the point it's making with doing the meta whole, like, Disney Corporation or whatever stuff. Like, that's fine from like an idea, but that comes quite late in the issue. I feel like a lot of this was just watching Lobo like talk and kill people, or like fight people.
There's a point where he pulls up on his bike and the guy says, hey, it's a no parking zone. He points to a big no parking sign, and he cuts off the guy's arm so that he can write Lobo parking in blood. Like, that's the style and tone that we're going for most of this.
And I think if you find Lobo funny, you're probably having a blast with this, but I've never found Lobo that funny. I'm not amused by the word pastiche, or other like fake swear words that he uses to fill in for the others. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's never appealed to me, right? He's purely a comic relief character to me, and typically speaking, comic book superheroes with characters who are nothing but comic relief don't really work for me. I don't really like Deadpool, and I don't like Harley Quinn when that's all she is. I like Harley Quinn when we're doing other things with her, like when we're doing like Harleen, and we're doing like the serious story of how the psychiatrist goes mad because of the Joker and becomes Harley Quinn. Yeah, super into that. But like when we're doing, no, she's just making Deadpool style jokes and winking at the audience. Nah, I'm good. Like, not for me.
I can easily see the target audience for this book. I think that it's good that this book exists for DC's sake. Like, it's good to diversify and have this kind of book on the stands. I do think the art is very well done. It's very detailed in a lot of strong places. It really sells the action of the scenes. But when it comes down to the writing, this isn't my cup of tea. This is something that I had to deal with a lot when I was reading New 52. Like, they did this type of book at least 4 or 5 times, and every time I was like, nope, not a fan, not into it.
And plus, it does. I get why it's there, because it's an issue 1. You want to like get new readers on board and all that. But there is like a 4-page section where it's just Lobo recounting his history, in a quirky way. And I'm like, really? We're doing the history of Lobo. We're doing like he was the bad boy and everyone else in Zarnia was good. And then he killed them all. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't want to hear this all again. I'm just not that interested in it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So, it's I respect what it is, but it's just not something I like very much. I'm not interested, and I kind of knew I was going to be interested in this. But it's an issue 1. Said I'd try it. I tried it. We're done.
I think that this is going to be the type of book. Obviously, people who like Deadpool, this is going to be an equivalent sort of thing over at DC. I also think it's going to be good for people who really like Easter eggs, because I feel like this book is just constantly going to be laden with, oh, remember that thing from way back in the day? We're making a callback.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense.
As for the reality show angle of it, I mean, they could take it any number of directions. I don't particularly care one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him getting frustrated with like them watching him all the time, or like feeling forced into it or whatever. I don't know, that mediocre Running Man remake didn't exactly set me up in a good mood for this type of format, but who knows?
Look, I can see that this book is specifically geared, especially with the reality show angle, where they're going to keep on throwing things at him. Like that's where the whole premise of the book is going to be. Lobo's just trying to be the main man. He's trying to do his own thing. And then they're like, but this issue, like, you're going to be facing against this, or we're throwing you into this situation. And they're just going to keep on doing that for probably 6 issues until he gets fed up and kills everybody.
Yep. It makes it a hard one to rate though, because it's like it's technically doing what it wants to do. I just don't like it.
I mean, most of my ratings coming from, I really do respect the art. I think it's highly detailed while feeling super sketchy at the same time, and that's good. A hard line to draw.
Yeah, the art's like, whenever he's like grabbing someone and he's like coats flapping up and there's all these just like bits, his hair's all sticking out. There's a lot of detail to everything.
Yeah, so I think I'd settle on a 6. That's me personally. I still think it's above the mediocre line, just from obviously there's craft behind it perspective, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with that. I'll give it the 6 out of sort of diplomacy of like, I think it's succeeding at what it wants to be and the art's very good, but I just, it was a bit of a chore to actually read though, and I have no interest in reading issue 2.
Yeah.
So
as I was reading this, it was last night. I was working by the light coming out from my wife's side of the bed, like she had her light, and about halfway through she turned out the light, and I was like, "Do I bother? Do I turn on my light to keep going?" I did. I finished it, but I was like, I don't know if I want
to. I'm so used to reading digitally. I was like, why do you need the light? The screen's lit up.
Nope. Nope. The books don't do that, Pete.
You have to use a light. What is it, a baby's toy?
All right, get out of here.
So yeah, okay, go. That's Lobo issue 1. Deathstroke, the Terminator, issue 1. Tony Fleecs writing with Carmine D. Giandomenico on the art. So I had no idea what to expect from this, just because of the team. Well, I mean, I know Giandomenico very well, of course, but Tony Fleecs, could not tell you anything he's done. It's a complete new person to me.
And it's also the thing where Deathstroke, like, he doesn't really have a defined book to him. Like, obviously the Christopher Priest run was very different from like the Deathstroke Inc. stuff that followed up afterwards. Like, you could easily make this an 80s action movie, or you can make it the internal thinkings of like, how does a family man kill so often?
Yeah, I mean, I think the definitive stuff is more just like the early days stuff still, right? Of Marv Wolfman and all that. And so this issue is Deathstroke's on a assassin job, and he's talking to Wintergreen over the comms, and Wintergreen's basically trying to tell him, hey, talk to Rose, you need to talk to her, she hates you. And he's like, I talked to her, I try to like convince her to sort of like step up and be like your new best friend, because I'm getting old, I need someone else to kind of fill in for some of this shit. And Deathstroke, and it's a lot of it's action, a lot of it's like, Deathstroke, you're supposed to be going quiet for this job, he's like, nah, screw that, and he drives like a police van or an ambulance off of like a multi-story car park and like goes flying through the air. And it's big action. The art here is pretty solid. It all looks there's a nice flow to it. There's a nice sense of progression. It's kind of the opposite of what I was talking about in Superman Unlimited, where there's no progression because everything's just a new location. This actually does feel like, oh no, he's in one building, he jumps across to the other building, there's chaos, there's debris, there's explosions, all the rest of it. And he doesn't even know who the target is. The idea is that his visor will sort of like basically ding when it sees the face of the person he's supposed to kill. Yeah. And it's like, okay, all right, so there's some mystery there. But the big twist of this, after some intervention, he fights the body doubles, who are, I don't know who they are, but sure.
I think, I might be wrong here, but I think they might have come over from Wildstorm.
Okay.
They are just a pair of quote-unquote smoking hot babes who have a massive healing factor and effectively cannot be killed. Like, that's their thing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, you know, like... This happens. Slade's having.
Just to make a comment on the body doubles, he gets the breakdown from Wintergreen. He's like, yes, these are the body doubles. They have a healing factor. And then Deathstroke says, good, that means I can stop holding back. And I'm like, were you not trying to kill them? I feel like you're just killing everybody.
Yeah, but the big twist of the issue, though, is that when he knocks down the door to where the target is, it's Wintergreen who is tied up. And it's, you know, there's like there's a note saying, Slade, I'm taking everything, whoever set this up. So I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was like a fun action sequence, and I like them, you know, bringing up Rose. I like Rose as a character quite a bit, and obviously they bring up Jericho and Grant and whatever. But I was like, wait, Wintergreen was talking to him the whole time, which I could buy this to an extent. But he's tied up. Wouldn't Wintergreen know he's tied up?
So the way that because the voice still continues on after he gets into the room, and he still is hearing it as Wintergreen's voice. He's saying, "Who said that, Wintergreen?" I think it's just like a voice changing thing. I think he was faking being Wintergreen.
All right, that makes more sense then. Because I kind of like the idea though of like Wintergreen not realizing he's directing Deathstroke to his own location. So when the door comes banging down, he's like, "Wait a minute, what the hell?"
Oh no, I'm gonna die. So the other part of it is there's also the whole reason Wintergreen was taken, and the note saying I've taken everything is the computer's open in front of them, and his bank account has been completely drained.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and then he has to fight his way out because, you know, the SWAT team of ninjas or whoever they are come in blasting, and he shoots his way out, and that's kind of the cliffhanger at the end of the issue.
It honest to God feels a lot more like an absolute line than anything else. It's like, no money, no Wintergreen, Deathstroke is on his own. Yeah,
I thought it was an easy read. I thought it flowed well. I thought, like, I like that they're teasing that there's going to be an element of this of, like, and don't get me wrong, it's not new for Deathstroke to, like, sort of try and repair perhaps the relationship he has with one or both of his kids, but
I think that's every other week he tries to do that. But yeah,
but given that I like Rose more than Deathstroke, I appreciate them saying now Rose is going to be a part of this and we're going to do stuff with her, and you know, maybe like teaming up to save Wintergreen is something they can both work together on. Maybe she'll actually care about that, you know, and that's why she'll maybe get involved. Who knows?
Yeah, for me, I feel like the overarching plot here is going to be a bit more on like revenge, because Wintergreen, he's been out of the game for like ever up until the Rebirth series. Rebirth is what reintroduced him and said this is a core tenet of Deathstroke's gang, and I don't know how I feel about killing him off here, because it does feel very unimportant. It doesn't feel like this is like a major thing. It's not giving the character any sort of service, but at the same time, it's a good driving force for Deathstroke moving forward. So if this does stick, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have to assume, I mean, obviously Deathstroke's going to want revenge for Wintergreen now, right? And Rose
and his money,
and Rose will probably too. She won't care about his money, but she'll care about Wintergreen perhaps. But I have to assume that whoever did this was doing this as revenge. It felt personal. It felt like someone wanted to do this to Deathstroke. Now, it could be another one of his kids, to be honest, at this point. Like, it's the most obvious thing.
Jericho or whatever the third one is. It's always going to be one of them.
Well, the other one's meant to be dead. Grant, I think, he's meant to be dead.
Meant to be.
Yes, well, I've been alive this whole time, Father.
That or it's his wife. It's always
Adeline. Yes, Adeline.
Yep.
Yeah, coming back for more. I mean, It's possible. I mean, that would make me roll my eyes a little bit if it ends up in any of them. But like, I could see it being revenge for someone else that Slade's, because Slade's wronged a lot of people over the years. So there's any number you could go with, or just make someone new up if you really wanted to. But
yeah.
I could see that. I mean, I think the action of the book was entertaining. Like, I thought it was paced well, it flowed well. It felt like it had its hook at the end. It had build up. It did all that. I mean, I think Deathstroke for me is kind of like not in quite the same way as Lobo, because Lobo's obviously a lot more of a comedy character. But yeah, it is tough for me, like reading a book about someone who's basically a villain, right? And this is someone who doesn't really have any sense of like moral compass or anything like that, and someone who is just in it for the money. Sometimes they add a little bit of nuance to that, of course, in his own solo book, because you kind of have to, because it's his book and you need to flesh him out a bit. But I think that's where you do have the other characters that you care about around them. They make it work, because they kind of end up being more the audience conduits than the main character is in this case.
Right. No, it definitely feels a lot more. I mean, I feel like every time I read a Deathstroke book, it's playing on the idea that he has this professional code. And that's what you're supposed to relate to more than the idea of him being like an indiscriminate killer is. No, he only kills for very specific reasons, but like he's very good at it. He's very skilled at his job. But then everyone else around him is coming down and being like, maybe you shouldn't be doing that because you're an asshole. And that's kind of the extent of it. I will say, out of the new number ones that we've gotten from this next level stuff, this is probably the most I like the issue 1. I think it's the one that has worked the best there, but I do think that long term it needs to come up with something a lot more impressive to get me into the character than what this issue has presented.
I think that's fair. I think that is fair. I think arguably this might even be better than Batwoman issue 1. But I think Batwoman, I'm a lot more optimistic about Batwoman going forward than I am this. But I think this could be a fun action B-movie romp if it kind of keeps up this type of this sense of pace, and that would be maybe fine. So I think I'm down to try issue 2 of this just to see how it develops it further, and that'll give me more of an indication of what the book's actually going to be past the setup, which is what this was. Because because if it goes down the path where it just kind of feels that we're having excuses for him to be in action every issue, it might feel a bit hollow, and then I'll sort of drift away from it and not really care. If it does actually try and advance and make it feel like, oh no, he's actually pissed about Wintergreen and like teams up with Rose to go and take it on whoever, or maybe he doesn't even team up. Maybe she like independently tries to do it herself as well because she doesn't want to work with him. But their paths will inevitably cross or something. I don't know, but but not a bad first issue. No. If not completely blowing anything out of the water.
I mean, ignoring any of the writing, the art on its own is very bombastic, feels great. So, I mean, kudos on that. I also think the writing is good for what it is. It just has to overcome that first hurdle of it's Deathstroke. How do you make me care? Yeah,
the dialogue's completely fine, and there's not too much of it, and it flows well. It's more just like the story concept. Is it going to evolve into something better than what it is to begin with? This kind of thing. So, all right, what are you giving Deathstroke the Terminator?
I think this one's going to squeak up to a 7 for me. It's on the lower end of it, but it's still good. I think it's a well-made issue by far.
Yeah, I think I'm going with a 7 as well. I think it's good. I have my reservations about how much it'll keep me engaged going forward, but I think it's a solid first issue. Definitely a good action-packed issue, if nothing else. Okay. So, cool. New Titans issue 33, Tate Brombal writing with Sami Basri on the art. So this is a rename, a new title just for Titans. So, now the cover obviously promises this new team with John Superboy, or Superman, whatever we're calling him these days, Stephanie Brown, Yara Flor, seemingly Terra is going to be on there as well. Yep. And we do see the older team, the traditional Titans in the background, but that's clearly... And this issue builds up to the new team at the very, very end, but it actually does something a little bit... Because I started this issue, right? And it does this thing where it's like, okay, we're starting the day in Titans Tower, Nightwing saying hello to everyone, and after a couple of lines of dialogue, the Fearsome Five come crashing through the window, and I thought, you know what? I'm so sick of comics, like issue 1s, where... like within a 2 pages, the villains just show up to create the conflict. It's just so lazy.
Yep.
And then, the book continues for a page or two, and they win the fight, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're just doing like a thing where, oh, isn't it funny how like their old villains show up out of nowhere and they beat them, but that's not the plot of the issue, that's just preamble. But then we do almost like a Groundhog Day thing where we start the day again, there's coffee, the exact same window, but this time it's Terra saying, aha, Titans, I'm back. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, they're doing a bit. This is going to be a joke. This is a running joke that the villains keep showing up at the exact same window. And would you believe it? It keeps going, and we keep getting more and more villains.
I love this sequence so much because like it doesn't wear out its welcome. It's not like, wait, what's happening? It makes it obvious when Terra shows up, and then literally the next panel is, okay, Terra, you can join the team again.
Yeah.
Like it's all just playing on, hey, those stories you've heard about the Titans and that we keep coming back to over and over again, we get it. We know we keep doing this.
And notably, it gets quicker and quicker. So the second time it's just like a couple of panels. And then the third time, Trigon shows up at the window, and we don't even like do a finish to that. It just cuts to the next time they're getting coffee. It just sort of starts. Yeah. It gets more and more of like a montage the more it goes along. So you're not getting tired of it. You're just getting through the more obvious beats of it.
Yeah, and something like it's not even showing like the same loop every time. It's showing highlights or whatever. One of my favorites is Aqualad Garth shows up and they're like, hey, welcome to have you back on the team, and he's like, oh, you know that the ocean can't keep me away for, never mind, I need the ocean away.
But my favorite detail is though in that next panel when he's leaving immediately, he's going out that same window that all the villains keep showing up from. So it's this thing where this window becomes this representation of the revolving door of villains, and Garth coming and leaving. Deathstroke shows up for one of them.
And he has an even bigger gun.
There's a moment where Cyborg's gold instead of silver. There's a moment where Nightwing's got the red outfit instead of the blue outfit. Yep.
There's one where Beast Boy's red instead of green. Like, it's tiny little things.
It's just going through the history of Titans and all the weird things they've went through. But there's like a voice coming from the coffee maker saying, hey, Nightwing, this isn't real. You need to wake up. Like, don't drink the coffee. Don't drink the coffee. So it's like, okay, God, I get what we're doing. They're trapped in some sort of weird, like, Black Mercy style Groundhog Day thing.
The best of the Titans on permanent repeat. But it also, like, yes, even if that's the internal story, it feels like it's also just this little playful, not like angry, but playful satire of the Titans comics.
There's a meta satire to it, yeah.
Hey, guess what? Raven's going to turn evil again. We're just going to keep doing this.
I mean, they literally say that. Oh, she's turned evil again. Cut to later. Yeah. Oh, this character's happened again. And then at one point it starts mixing them up by accident, and it's like, what do you mean brother Death Blood showed up? And it's like
brother Bloodstroke.
That's what it was.
It's like, wait, that's not a guy. What?
Yeah, you're mixing the villains up. And it's like, okay, one day Starfire's kissing Dick. Next day, oh, we've broke up again. Like, it's just going through all the things, and it's like, okay, I appreciate the gimmick of what it's doing here. It's got more of a purpose than it initially seemed to. So yeah, my initial like roll in my eyes was like, oh no, they're doing a thing. They know what they're doing here. There's an idea behind this. And then the big thing, obviously by the end, is this: once Dick starts to resist it and says, "No, I don't think this is real," they all start kind of glitching out as if something's wrong. And then through that same window, everyone else is crashed through. In comes the new team. And John's like, we're the new Titans, and we're here to save you your asses.
Yep. I love when he comes, because it speeds up each time. When he comes to the realization, though, there's a 9-panel grid of the coffee machine, and it feels so frantic up until that point, where it's just faster and faster and faster through the loops, that when we get to this and the coffee machine beeps, and then you just get 9 panels of Nightwing beating the ever-loving crap out of it. It feels so like the perfect little sudden stop to the end of the scene to just add some normalcy.
And even questions afterwards, what am I doing? Am I being crazy? I just beat up a coffee maker. And then obviously quite quickly after that we get to the ending. And
I love the Titans look around, they're like, Dick, what did you do? He's like, I broke the coffee machine. And then everyone starts like crisis mode, disappearing from reality.
So what exactly is going on here? They're trapped in something. It seems to be like, is it just Dick and everyone else is fake? Is everyone trapped here at the same time? So on and so on. I'm unclear at this point, but so the only critique you could have of this really is that the new team they promised only shows up in the final page. But honestly, I think in the grand scheme of things, that's not that big a deal. Like, we'll get to them next issue.
Yeah.
So
this is absolutely just a great setup for like whatever it is that's going on. It told the story in such a creative way and such a different way, while also being able to like kind of just point at this book, and maybe it doesn't deserve it. We have to see what happens, but they feel like they're pointing out and saying, this ain't your granddaddy's Titans. Like, we're all those stories that we did before. We know that. We know we've done those stories. We're not going to do them again.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I enjoy Taylor's run in Titans, and then obviously it just kind of felt generic once the second team took over. So it's nice that this is back onto a new team, and it feels like immediately they have some ideas and injecting some new life into things. And I really like the idea of Steph on the team, and also Yara, actually. And in fact, them together sounds like a bit of a winner as far as personalities going together is.
Yeah. The only other one that we had that wasn't on the cover is, I think he's called Red Devil.
Yes.
I think, did that come out of the Lazarus Planet stuff? Was that where he was from? I could be wrong entirely. This might be a thing off of Blue Devil as well. I literally do not know who this character is.
Hey, if this book does the smart thing, it will give us some fleshing out and backstory for some of these characters, especially him, because he's probably the one that fewest people know.
Yes, very true. I'm just pulling up comics that he appeared in just to see. Okay, he was back around during Absolute Power and stuff like that, and apparently in Superman. So yeah, I guess he's been around.
Okay. So no, it's interesting, and it does make me wonder, once they rescue the team, you know, whether that takes like an issue or the whole arc or whatever. Like, do the teams merge after that point, or is it this kind of thing where they're like, okay, like the regular team kind of dispenses for the most part, but like Dick's still there to kind of like, you know, call the shots or something like that, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like, just based off of the way that they bust in and say, we're the new Titans, it feels like this has been something that was already pre-established. Like, we're coming into this book and like Dick, maybe the team already dissipated. Maybe they've already broken up and Dick's the only one that's actually like real in that world. And that's why they're calling out to him. But yeah, it feels like this is something where this team has already pre-existed for a little bit and they're just moving into that. The only other thing I would point out is I think there's some carryover, because I briefly paged through the previous issue of Titans, like the DCKO final one. I think there's a little bit of carryover between the kids are all fight issue and this team. I think that might have been something that was a mild introduction here, but I wouldn't know. I didn't read that one.
Fair enough. Yeah, I wonder actually if we go back next issue and actually start with like on the real world, that the new Titans like having their like either forming or having their first mission together or something. You know, go back and sort of like then they'll line up with this once they know they have to go save the original Titans.
Yeah, I can see it happening.
Yeah. I had a good time though. Like, honestly, like I was hopeful because of Brombal's work on other books, and I wanted to be into a Titans book. I want Titans to be good. I want to like it. So yeah, I'm glad that I got something out of this, and it felt like it's not just shoving away the old characters. I mean, maybe there'll be less of them after this first arc if we get past this, you know, saving them from this whatever it is. But I like that it does feel like it's, you know, it's acknowledging the history and keeping them as like on as sort of legacy characters, whilst hey, we've got this new team that are going to be the focus and we're going to do this with them and so on. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes up.
This is like, whenever they were doing the Titans relaunch back in Rebirth, I was up for it, but it felt so mired in old continuity that it was hard for me to get into. And then when we did this most recent one, I think that was Dawn of DC, same sort of thing. It felt like, okay, we got the old team back and like everyone knows the old team. And I'm like, not really. I don't feel like I'm as familiar with them as I should be. This is the first time that I feel like jumping into this, it feels like we are going to do a fresh start, something that people can really jump in on without just completely throwing away all the old continuity with it.
I do wonder what the ratio is. Like, I wonder how much of these old characters are going to still be in the book and mix in with the new ones once this arc's over.
I would imagine you got to keep Grayson, and then does anybody else have a book? Like, is anyone else going to be around anywhere else?
Not really.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. Maybe they'll still be there as mentors, or when we need the larger cavalry to come in. But, you know, we'll just focus on the new team more so.
Yeah. The only other thing to bring up is on the cover, at least, they have Tara, that seems to be in the same like color grading as the people up front rather than blending into the back as the old Titans.
Either that's a mistake on the cover because she's in the book, but they've made it look like she's on the team, or she is just going to be on the team, and that's interesting if she is.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm always up for a good Terra story, as long as we don't eventually go back to the exact same story she's done over and over again.
She's working with Deathstroke? She's a villain?
No, but she was so trustworthy. She kissed Beast Boy.
Yeah, he's got Raven now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's got the Goth GF. He doesn't need her.
All right, what are you giving New Titans?
I mean, I can't speak for the series overall, but this issue really, I was enjoying beginning to end. I was happy to be turning the page each time. So I got to give this one like an 8.5. I think this one was just like really, really great. I don't have many bad things to say about it at all.
I'm going with just a straight 8 for me. I liked it. I think I liked realizing what it was as I was reading it, and then obviously I'm excited to see what the new team's like once we actually get to that next time. And the art by Basri, very solid, very clean cut. I feel bad because I feel like Basri could be Lucas Meyer on Superman Unlimited. I feel like Basri and Meyer have very kind of similar overall looks to their art. But I like Meyer a bit more, so having them in the same week makes Basri feel like the lesser version, but by no means bad. Very, very, very solid throughout. Yeah. And I really like that motif of coming back to that exact same panel of the window, but with just different villains crashing out of it, or in one case, Garth crashing out.
Yeah, just bailing, whatever.
And it's in a very funny kind of like, Pucci is needed on his home planet kind of moment. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. But just need to see a bit more of the where the plot's actually going next time to really know for sure that I'm definitely in to read the next issue, but like we'll see how I feel about going forward after that once we get to that point. So technically not an issue 1, but in some ways it is an issue 1.
It's issue 1 of New Titans, however you want to call it.
Even though they're keeping the numbering for whatever reason. You feel like they would jump on the chance to just call it New Titans issue 1, but for whatever reason they chose not to do that. So
maybe it was like a hedging their bets sort of thing where they're like, just in case this doesn't work out, we don't want to release this as a 6-issue mini. We're just gonna keep the numbering going, and we can cancel it a nice round 37.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll take us on to the final part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel/moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and of course, top 5 books. So we'll start off with panel/moment. David, what do you have?
I was thinking through it, and as much as I would love to say just all of New Titans, I don't think I can get away with that. So
nope.
if I have to pick a moment, strangely enough, it's not even going to be from that book. I'm going to switch it over to Nightwing, and I'm going to pick the double page spread of the car pileup, just because I don't know, there's something so visceral to it. Like it's something where it doesn't feel like it's out of a superhero book. It feels so just real of like, no, 9 people died in a car accident. Like this is just how it is. And it made me feel like there is this underlying darkness to the city that isn't just like your standard superhero fare. It is something that is a bit more real and a bit more grounded and a bit more terrifying than, something like a Dark Side or whatever would be.
Yeah, I think for me, it's either the end of a Wonder Woman or... Yeah, I think I want to give it to something in Nightwing as well, but like I don't know if there's a specific moment for me, like, which is why I'm maybe leaning towards maybe going with Wonder Woman or it's between Nightwing and Wonder Woman. But I don't like, because Nightwing, like I love the car crash and I love the build up to it and like the him trying to save someone afterwards and the realization of what's just happened. But it's not really one moment per se. It's more spread out over like several pages. So I guess I do also like when the for lack of a better term, the witch is talking about like the crossroads and we see like the silhouette of the hanging bodies. I thought it was doing a good job of feeling ominous and eerie, and like we're doing like sort of like horrific lore of the city kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to go with that, but it's close between that and maybe the ending of Wonder Woman, like the reveal. But those are my moments for sure. All right, cover of the week. I was just having a look whilst you were talking about your your thingy. Now I do like the main Nightwing cover quite a bit. I like the main Absolute Flash cover because I've not been like huge on the covers for that book, but I do like this one quite a bit. It's a bit more grounded. He's just sort of sitting, kind of moody. You know, it's working for me. Wonder Woman cover's solid. The regular one that is. But I think my favorites though, if I'm going to pick, shout out to the very kind of moody, like painted version of Superman Unlimited's variant by Lucio Perillo. It just looks very kind of, I mean, it probably looks a bit too evil, admittedly, which is why I'm not going to pick it overall. It also looks like the outfit's just painted onto his body, which is also not really accurate to what's in the comic. But I think my favorite cover of this week is the Matea de Lulis variant for Wonder Woman, which is the matriarch sitting on the throne holding the sword. I do think her having the black outfit but the bright white hair is a really nice look. It's a good contrast that always pops whenever I ever see it. So I'm going to go with that. Wonder Woman's got several good covers, though, to be honest, this week. So what's your cover of the week?
I mean, I was looking through before we started just to make sure I wasn't caught off guard here. There is one guy, I'm trying to get his name right now, who is doing some really good ones for these next level titles. Q Young Eom. I wouldn't say painted, but it's this very like hypergraphic looking style, and I think those look great across the board. There is also a Sejic Batwoman cover. I think that looks great.
Yeah, I noticed that one. I wasn't. It's not my favorite of his, just because I don't know if the face quite clicked for me. But I do love when Sejic does an outfit. It's like you can feel almost the material because it's so shiny and looks like whatever it would be. But yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as much as I wasn't a fan of the book, a couple of the Lobo covers they have like that hyper gritty realistic style to them, and I think they look great. For anyone who's fans of that book, or that character, I should say, probably would get that. But I think after everything's said and done, I am going to come down to, there is an Art Germ cover for Batwoman that, I don't know, something about how stylized it looks, something about the flowing of the cape and all that just really works for me.
Cool. All right, and then art of the week. Do you have a pick?
I was basically down between Nightwing and Wonder Woman. It's absolutely one of those two. I think I'm going to give it to Wonder Woman, just vibes alone. It looks great. I guess if I have to like really give a reason for it, the fact that in the writing, they specifically say like, oh, there's this moment when Superman stole the Godkiller sword. And then you can go back and see it in the art. Like, it's there. You can pick it out. Just little touches like that I'm always a fan of. Just the tiny things that make it feel like the extra effort went into it. Nightwing, fantastic on its own right. Definitely worth it. But I think I'd be more curious to see how that's going to shake out over multiple issues. I imagine there's going to be a much bigger pop for that art style in like 2 or 3 issues time for Nightwing. It just didn't quite hit it for this one yet.
Yeah, it's a good week for art because you know, like, shout out to Meyer, Carona, and Basri and Giandomenico for all having really solid art this week. But I think for me, it's between the same 2 books. I've given it to Sampere many times in the past. And I think because of that, I'm going to go with Cowan. I think it felt more fresh because, you know, I've seen a lot of Sampere Wonder Woman at this point, and it's very good. It's excellent. But I love the atmosphere that the Cowan art brought to the witch stuff. And I love that they're doing like a witch style story on like an interlocking highway, which is the most like modern like concrete like thing. You know, it's just like it's like the least mystical thing ever is just a road, like a concrete road, but we're building mystique around it, and I kind of like that. It's fun. So, and the art's a big part of what made that work. So, I'm going to go with that. All right. Top 5 books.
I wrote this out beforehand, and then I changed up some of my scores from what I wrote, so now I'm kind of screwed. I think it's going to go Titans in first, Wonder Woman second. Yeah, I really like Titans. Nightwing, Absolute Flash, Superman Unlimited.
All right, my number 1 is Nightwing. My number 2 is Wonder Woman. My number 3 is Absolute Flash. Number 4 is New Titans. Number 5 is Superman Unlimited.
It's kind of telling that neither of us had any of the new number 1s in our top.
That is a bit of a shame. That is a bit of a shame. I do think... I mean, I'm down for reading issue 2s of 2 of them. So it's not like, it's a loss. And I do think Batwoman will probably end up being quite great. I feel quite confident about that. But, yeah, it is what it is. But, hey. There you go. I'll tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics, which also happens to be episode 500 of the show. So next week we have Absolute Wonder Woman issue 18, Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 10, Detective Comics 1107, Superman 36, probably not digitally, but DC Marvel Superman Spider-Man issue 1 is out. There's Justice League Unlimited issue 17, The Flash issue 31, Green Lantern 33, Harley Quinn 60, Peril of the Brutal Dark and Ezra Kane Mystery issue 2. And then there's some facsimile editions and whatnot, as you expect. So yeah, pretty hefty week as well next week. And I've got Patreon books to catch up on. I might even record those out separately, like a batch of them during the week, and just tack them onto the episode, just so that I'm not extending the recording time next week to 4 hours. Say,
you're going to have to go through the entirety of your top lists that week, aren't you?
Well, not our top lists. No.
Oh, right, the viewer top
just
list.
The vote, which, by the way, guys, the vote for the top 50 DC characters still ongoing. You have until Friday, whatever that Friday's date is, before next week's episode. 27th.
27th, yeah.
Right, Friday the 27th is the deadline. The link will be in the description once again. It's also on the Discord, it's on the Patreon. If you want to repost it, just ask. It can be thrown back out again. But the results have been coming in. I've been assembling them as they do. I'm a couple behind, but I've been seeing it take shape, and we'll be revealing the results of that next week. So yes, that's going to be next week on episode 500. We reveal that. So it's probably going to be a hefty show next week between doing that list, all of the books that are out, plus at least a batch of Patreon books, one way or another. So.
And having me back for my special segment that we definitely agreed upon, right?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Well,
never mind.
No, I'm
kidding. Nah, that's later. That's for the other one.
Yeah. I thought that was for the 10th anniversary special. I don't remember that being for episode 500.
No, I'm just trying to inject myself more onto this.
You've injected yourself enough all over the place. Thank you very much.
I know. I am not allowed within 500 yards of multiple places.
But yeah, so yeah, big week next week. So join us for that, and we'll hopefully enjoy some comics. Matt will be back, of course, and we'll get into everything. But that is the show, which you can support over on Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. It really does help keep things coming. You get access to the Batgirl Year 1 review that comes out once a month on there. It's almost finished, though. It'll be replaced with another series in the not-too-distant future. You get to vote on a book once a month in the Patrons Pick section. That vote will be going up soon as well. So, yes, go have a look-see. But that is the show, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics. And remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.